off though. Do we see a setup here in the Nikkei? Can we see a buy the dip? Buy the dip here? Oh, that's tempting. It's tempting, but you remember these sell-offs, whenever the Nikkei picks a direction, we can see some very big movements here. So I'm gonna elect not to place a trade, and it looks like we are rejecting these highs. And so the question is, are we going to see something that we've seen back here on March 18th? These sell-offs, right? I like to do these average moves. These average moves play really well. These average moves play really well. If you guys, this is a little gem that I talk about relatively often. Coach Jay knows I talk about it. Like, these are this is another thing why I just love markets is they're not. It's not like rocket science where they're exact, but look at this. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 moves. I mean, you could even make an argument to say 5 moves, and they're pretty dang close, right? We can measure these, and we can say, yeah, when this market, doesn't matter what market you're analyzing, these markets, measured moves, pretty accurate when it comes to good estimates, and say when this market moves on average, that's about what it is. And so you can say that we've moved that, and it makes sense that we're getting a sell-off. And you could do the same thing when the market is selling off. And you say, well, what's the average move when we do get a sell-off and we get a pullback or whatever you're looking to analyze here? And you could say, well, if we're in the middle of one right now, it's not unrealistic. See this market coming back down to this 37,400s, and we are seeing a move pretty violent, to be honest. This is quite the move here. So yeah, that's something I typically look at, and it gives us at least gives me a good idea about where we are in this market, what I'm looking at, and helps me understand. And that's what I was doing on the NASDAQ, and taking from an extreme side. I don't know if you want to measure these extreme moves, saying from top to bottom, and depending on how you want to measure it, I don't know. This is an interesting one. How you want to measure these moves, because everyone would look at these moves a little bit different, right? There is some discrepancy, or some discrepancy.
Order filled.
Whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it. I just lost my train of thought. There's some. I don't know. I can't think of what the heck I was just gonna say. Yeah, I don't know. Not discretion. Yeah, thanks, Nate. Some discretion when measuring this, and so maybe that's what we got here. Discretion. That's the word I was looking for on measuring these moves. And so maybe we got one. We got one here in the NASDAQ. I mean, if you take one of the bigger moves and you measure it, it's like, well, kind of there. I'm having a senior moment. Yeah. Senior moment. I get it. Discretion. So maybe if we measure, this is a big move. This is a big swing. So, that's the biggest swing that I've seen. And, can we measure that? Sure. From top to bottom, that's a decent move. And if we just look at relative from this move, that's a 4% move without any pullbacks. Well, it depends on what you define as a pullback, but from bottom to the top, that's 4%, 800 points. 800 points. And then even if we measure from the bottom of this NASDAQ is up 5.5% from its low back here in March 10th. March 13th, March 10th, March 13th. So we're up 5.5%. And then if we do put that even in, zooming out even further, how far are we off from all-time highs? We're right at 10%. We're 10% from all-time highs. So interesting spot for sure. We're always in interesting levels. I'm not seeing too much else in these markets. Think we're just filling the gap on the 1 hour? We're always filling some gap somewhere. There's always gaps to be filled. 50K account can trade the Nikkei as far as I know, but I'm suggesting not trading the Nikkei on a 50K account. Go looking to long after a pullback. Where's gold at? What's gold doing? It's looking bullish. I like longs on gold here. At least until, you know, maybe we do break down through those. Next consolidation rate and at current price. What market are you talking about? How did you learn to trade options, Coach? Tasty Trades is where I learned how to trade options. When Tasty Trade Radio, it's been a long time for there. I learned the Greeks in junior high. I joined the gang. I joined the Theta gang in middle school. I joined the Theta gang in middle school. Can you quickly show the ES break? Yeah. Oh, I'll have to look at that later. What is the ticker for the pound yen?
Order filled.
Like I said, if you type in 6 here, you can see most of these. I mean, I don't know if this is all of them, but you have this. Look, here's the pound, Japanese yen, Swiss franc, New Zealand. Nice frat boy. Yeah. The initiation into the options were something else. I even trade. Oh, what was that one? Binance. Anybody in here remember Binance? Let me look at this. Binary options. Oh, when they first came out. Okay, I'm Googling this. We're going. I'm going down that rabbit hole. Let's look at this. I want to see if my email's still there. Binance. Oh, wow. I'll give you a date. I'll give a date here. This 2000. Oh, there's some from 2017. It's binary options. Is binary? Yeah, I'm referring to binary options here. Going through this. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, this was a long time. I remember one trade I had in Binance, and it was in like currency. It was in like the euro dollar, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I paid for like $300 for it was like an hourly option. NASDAQ, yes, that's what it was. Thank you. Good call. Good shout out, Greg. NASDAQ 2016. Okay, where is this? So I paid like $200 for an hourly option that was expiring, binary option, and it was just way out of the money, just so out of the money. And then some random headline hit, and I made $10,000, and I was hooked. That's kind of what hooked me, and I don't know what happened. I'm gonna have to look. This is 2016. This was 2016. Let's go. I'm going through. I'm reading some stuff. I'm reading some stuff in this NASDAQ. Wow, that is a throwback to memory lane. I wish I still had that email. Let's see if I could find it. All mail. NASDAQ. I'll post it. I'll post it if I can remember. It was just some insane. I didn't know what I was doing. I put $200 in a binary option that expired in an hour, and it was insane. It was $200. Jay's AirPods, $200. Risk was $200, and I ended up making $10,000. And it's like a binary option. There's price from 0 to 100. and I got for like $1. But that's kind of what got me addicted to and into the options world. Yeah, it was luck. That was pure luck. Pure luck. And then I ended up giving back everything that I had left. I took it out. I paid for a trip to California, and then I lost all of it. Doing the same thing because I thought I could do it again. It was like, oh, I could do that again. I could do it bigger, right? If you put more money into it, the more money you're going to make. Boy, was we wrong. Everyone's done that at least a few times, especially when you're like very, very young and not knowing what the heck to do. Yeah, I wish I had the email. I've got to have it around here somewhere. It's somewhere. I wish I had. I'm going to find it, and I'll show everybody in here. They probably don't even have my login information. Okay, let's see. No, I'm going to get that email, and I'll show everybody. It's a story as old as time. Yep. Lightning strikes twice, only in the dreams. Coach Dakota, is having a short bias after recent trends in NQ wrong, or is it more psychological? It depends on what market and what time frame. It's okay to have a little bit of a short bias here in the NASDAQ, just because we are pretty extended, and so it's okay to like have this idea that we could see a pullback. Now, the market could keep going without the idea that the market needs to pull back could be wrong, because the market could just keep going and going, right? The market could stay rational longer than you can stay solvent, or whatever that saying is. But having a pullback here in the NASDAQ is very healthy, especially after all of this selling pressure and the fact that we are running into a key level or a key zone back when we seen that big sell-off. So it's okay to be bearish, even though there's a lot of bullish momentum here. It's just understanding, hey, be caution. We just rallied, and there's a lot of bullish momentum. It's like there's nothing wrong with that. People are thinking about pullback when we just got out of a long pullback. What do you consider a long pullback? And like I said, it's about time frame. Traders love to give their opinions, but it really is about time frame. A pullback for somebody on a 4-hour chart is different from a pullback on somebody trading a 1-minute chart, right? A pullback on a 1-minute chart. Look, we've had 3 pullbacks already just while I've been talking, compared to somebody that's on a daily. Depend on whatever time frame that you're referring to. So yeah, it depends on your time frame. It depends on what you're looking at, and yeah, what is a pullback to you? Trade what you see, not what you think. I struggle with it all the time. I struggle with it just as much as the next person. Trading what you think can get you in trouble. It gets me in trouble. Doomlord says that's the hook. Was this a big market correction? What is this? Nicole, what is this? Anybody tuning in and asking questions, please put context. Please put context. Remember, I'm reading these questions, and I do not know what you reference. Most of the time, I do not know what traders are referencing in the YouTube chat. I cannot read minds, so please put a reference. Should I take a guaranteed payout or wait to grow my balance so I don't have a small drawdown? That depends, Moonza. It's always great to pay yourself, but if you're taking a payout and it's going to change the way you trade, I would advise against it. You don't want to take a payout so big you change the way you trade. You want to follow the same process no matter what. It's process over profits. Process over profits. I'm actually seeing a breakout here in the NASDAQ that I am liking. A break to the long side. There's just not enough Not enough meat left on this bone. Looking for a push into these 400s. I mean, we could definitely see the longs play out. It's 10 points. I could see 10 points here. Yeah, the breakout trade's basically long in this zone where we're at, playing for a break into, I mean, 10 points. I could see up into these 84s. Just do it. Just do it. Even after tariff news earlier in the market, barely budge. I'm guessing we're going to be bullish. Not a possible head and shoulders in the 15. I will tattoo process over profits yet this year. Process over profits. I'm going to just, let's see how that one plays out.
Order filled.
Buy the upper end for a breakout. Stop loss 358s. Stop loss. So if this is consolidation.
Order filled.
Playing for a break of consolidation. Stop loss on the opposite side of the consolidation. We've seen PMI data been bullish, but caution still exhibits. Short 20, 380, calling it now at 9:44 p.m. Okay, Zane. Someone's saying short 380, calling it now. You're looking at the New York session, regular trading. 380. What's at 380? What's at 380? You're calling that short? Is this just some random number or what? There's 14 contracts there.
Order filled.
Dakota, do you ever trade off the previous day's value? 70% day recession. Not really. Just basic support and resistance. That's basically it. Of course, yesterday's highs and yesterday's lows and key levels tend to be support and resistance. And if the market respects it, then yes, I guess you could technically say I will trade that. TopStep is having its studio. If you tune into TopStep TV, we've talked about it before. TopStep is in the works with a studio, trading floor, Airbnb in Chicago. You've seen, if you followed MP on the Twitterverse, on Twix, X, Twitter, you would see, the nice Airbnb right there in Chicago. Traders meet up, trading floor, studio. I'm excited for it. I'd love to see it. I have plans to fly out to Chicago this spring, early summer, fly out to Chicago and meet up with the team, meet up with other traders, trade, have some fun there, and it's going to be great. And I plan to maybe fly down to a few different areas. Coach, can you show the colors of your charts, just default settings? Where do you see the colors? This, settings? Is this what you're referring to? Is that what you're referring to? I don't know. You could always pause and rewind if this is going too fast. I'm going to do this once. It's all green for me. I'm colorblind, so it's all green.
Order filled.
You're having a good time here in slow markets. Why do you trade with green and red? Green is market goes up. Red means market goes down. What do you mean? What do you mean, why do I trade with green and red? Maybe, I don't know. That's what I like. That's what I'm used to, I guess. But, yeah.
Order filled.
Interesting questions. Can you show us the DOM of MNQ? You want to see the DOM? We could look at the DOM. Could you drive green and red? People are arguing that red distracts you from a psychological point of view. Okay. Being at break even all month is number 5 worthy. I'm on a drawdown. I'm in a drawdown. Like I said, if you tuned in, I've talked about it often. I've been in like a 50,000, a little bit less now, worth of a drawdown in my live account, and yeah. Ikaija. Oh man, I'm going to Ikaija. I'm horrible with pronouncing names. I'm a partner. I trade. I am a trader here at TopStep, and a partner who enjoys being on stream and help. And I love what I do here. But trading is first for me, and trading is my primary income. Who's the best technical coach? Ooh, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I just said I don't. It's hard for me to choose out of these coaches. I will say I'm not the best technical coach. Charles E., how do you feel about TopStep talking about putting a consistency rule on XFAs? Isn't there already one? Isn't there already one? Do you trade liquidity sweeps and imbalances? What do you mean imbalances? I like trading where people put their stops. I like getting in. You can imagine there's some stops right here. Everyone who is long might have had some stops just below there. Guess what? This market ran those stops, and now which direction's the market going? It's going up. You've been waiting on this question? I'm sorry if you're waiting on a question. You've been working on trade location and risk management. It's been very frustrating. Why? Why is that frustrating? There's a big order. Look at this order sitting here. It's sitting at the high of day. It's sitting at 375. Will it get filled? Let me look. Not really much in terms of, not much going on. Let's watch this get filled. Let's see it get filled. TopStep's so good, you have to pinch yourself sometimes. TopStep's been around for one of the longest, right? Like 2010, 2011. Goes through ups and downs. It's still here. They do the same as last night. Bait. I want to see if this one gets filled. My stop loss is at that order. Watch it not get filled, please. Oh, we can watch it not get filled. Going to put consistency on funded. They kept moving the orders last night for more than 100 points. Yeah, I didn't stay up all night. That's got to be frustrating. Why don't you... why you don't show order flow study in live market? Not sure what you mean by that. I'm a technical analysis trader. I trade the technicals on the charts. Coach Co, do you know on average how many people call up to a live accounts weekly or monthly? I do not. I do not know the internals. If you tune, and maybe this is a good reference, and I see this quite often on TopStep TV on the day show. They talk about it, and they talk about the call ups on TopStep's X account, TopStep's Twix, Twitter. It's hard because you have TopStep's X, right? TopStepX, but Twix on TopStep's Twitter, they do post the call-ups, and whenever they call up traders, and then they post it on the day show, and I don't know the exact numbers. Could you show us how to set up the DOM? Come on, go over here to the settings. There's all the settings on the DOM, and then you can just click this plus. There's the DOM right there. We still calling it Twitter? Yeah. Everyone still calls it Twitter anymore. Trying to be correct. Twitter, Twix. Sorts from 2 weeks ago back are underwater. Tell you what, it's hard to hold a short in this market for over a month. Shorts historically do not pay when you hold them for a long period of time. From my experience. Am I making money for dinner tonight? Not tonight. I've lost, and I'm actually we're finishing up on time. There's 100 contracts still sitting at 375, but I did not see any decent trades. There's one that I missed, and it was a long on this breakout. I missed that one. I'm not seeing anything else. Let's just do a quick review. Not seeing anything else. The Nikkei's selling off still. It's been pushing these lows. Gold looking pretty bullish on a buy the dip opportunity. Maybe if we could break through those 20s, those 3,020s. Crude oil, I'm starting to switch to be more of a bearish on crude oil. We are actually at an interesting level, right? This is a zone. So I wouldn't be surprised to get a pullback on crude. I will be on TopStep TV tomorrow morning. I've really enjoyed it. I've also, and if you guys missed it, there's that TopStep 150K giveaway for the 150K subscribers that TopStep has reached, and I've enjoyed the Rising Star segment. I was on that today, and I came out of today with a beautiful quote, right? As a day trader, I might not make as much money as I want for the day, but I make more than enough than I need. I have that quote saved on my phone. I'm enjoying it. I'm scheduled to be on this week. Who knows? Maybe I could convince them instead of a Rising Stars. Danielle, if you're listening or if you're going to watch this as recorded, could we get a Falling Stars where I bring someone on who blew up their live or combine or XFA and we interview them? Okay, maybe I'll be part of the Falling Stars segment. That would be entertaining. Or is that too much? All right. You'll be number one on Falling Stars. Do you take live trades in the morning session? Yes. Yep. I am a live trader. If I do see trade setups and I'm not locked out of my live account, I do take live trades. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I am a trader first, and if I see a good setup, I will trade it in my live account, regardless of whether it's slow markets, fast markets in the morning, power hour, unless I'm done for the day, right? If I'm done for the day, I'll lock my account up, and that's it. What's your channel name? So this is it. This is it, everybody. You guys are tuning in. It's slow markets. I'm a partner here with TopStep, but I am active on the Twitterverse. Oh, there it is. Other than that, that's it. Falling Stars should be people who lose their live trading account. We gotta get somebody to be on for that, though. Who would have the courage to show up on stream while they're struggling? Which markets do I have better profits on? NASDAQ, 100%. NASDAQ, definitely. So, yeah. Do we speak about the 5K hat that I requested like 6 months ago? Who do I speak about? I mean, I'd reach out to the team. VIP team flow accounts effectively. Why do you not show order flow studying live? That's the second time you asked that question. I asked it right back to you. What do you mean? I am not a order flow trade. I'm a technical trader. I trade technical analysis. You see it here every single night. Every single night. Final questions. You have 2 minutes. Right trade NASDAQ over ES. It's a love-hate relationship. I like the NASDAQ. It's hard to go back. It's hard to get away from the NASDAQ. ES is a more tame market, and I will recommend the ES over the NASDAQ for any new traders. Yeah, there you go, Sass. Coach Jay is great with trading. Rips. Thank you, Dakota. Stay blessed. Have a good night. Will you do a buzz cut? I don't know, but I do need to get a haircut, though. I'm going to end it there. See everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody. Bye.
17. Let's do it. At 1, 2-ish. My place. Right. I got out.
Order filled.
I got out wrong time. If you go below here, I gotta get out. Man, you just. If you don't go back now, I gotta get out. Gotta get out. Come on, come on. Look at this. 46, 42. That's not accurate. How you went from 17 to 46 without moving a tick? What? Get out. Right there. So what happened?
Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Raymond. Raymond has been with us. He's been funded with us, and of course, he has seen success. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But hey, before we get to Raymond, please make sure your pencils are sharpened, ink in your pen, because taking notes does and will help you in the long run.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, Raymond, how are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you, Eddie?
I'm pretty good. Thank you very much for being here with us. And Raymond is a funded trader that has gotten a payout, which is very nice to see, moving through the system and actually getting that reward. Now, Raymond, tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, I'm originally, I guess you can call me a computer geek. I guess originally I was in the computer industry, working in the quality assurance space. But I've always, had an interest in
Reduce this.
So
Amount.
over time, I guess I obviously, like many others, tried it on my own, found it to be very difficult, and I came across your group. I'm not exactly sure how, and eventually to Mr. Hoagland, and here I am.
Awesome. What led you to pursue a career in trading?
Well, I think it's the fact that one, it's the flexibility of it, right? You can come and go as you please. You're not working for the man, so to speak, right? You're only working, kind of working on your legacy and your how you say, your growth, right? I mean, it's you're not depending on anyone else to kind of feed you, right? So I think that was kind of the biggest motivating factor. I like the fact that it's flexible. I can do this anywhere, from my desk, as long as I have internet access and a reasonably good computer, then yeah, I can trade.
It's whatever you put in is what you get out.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly right.
And you got to do the homework. So I like your approach. Now, what's your preferred market to trade in, and can you tell us why?
It's interesting. I've gravitated to the commodities market. I think I started with equities, and to be honest with you, I had I had a little bit of a difficulty in kind of wrapping my brain around it. Especially NASDAQ, for example, was one of those markets. They were just too crazy, too much of a wild horse for me. Created heart palpitations. Right. So I think what gravitated me to the commodities, specifically gold and crude, there is predicted behavior certain times of the day, right? And is this predicted behavior? When I say predicted behavior, it's happens 80% of the time or 75% of the time. And I think I use that information to my benefit, right? Where I really was having a tough time finding that kind of thing. It does exist. It does surface its head, but not as consistently as I see it in the commodities market. So I think that was probably the main one. As I was tracking and doing back testing and things of that nature, I found some activity that happens certain times of the day. Whether it's in and it's that activity that I try to take advantage of.
and taking advantage of it, you did very well. It's like finding your groove.
Right.
I mean, some of us are trading markets that we really shouldn't be trading,
It's true.
and it's finding that market that sort of both you can coexist
Yes.
and you can work with. Some
And maybe
markets
it's a little bit of a rhythm, I would say. Maybe a little bit of a rhythm that you
Okay.
get with a certain market. You start to feel a pulse of how the market is moving, and it kind of aligns with your kind of rhythm, I would say.
Right. Sometimes it takes a little while to find that, but sometimes
Yeah.
we hit it right away.
Yeah.
It's good. Now, Raymond, how do you stay up to date on market trends and news?
Well, that's actually part of my daily routine. So I have one of the things I focus in on is sentiment for the day, and I do a top-down analysis, right? So I start with a very large time frame, and then I kind of work my way down, and then my focus for the day, I think, is the 4 hour. Let's say, I go 4 hour, 30 minutes, that kind of thing, maybe an hour. So I do a top-down analysis of how price action and where the
So
market
this
is, and
candle is going to
the areas that
dictate
price is auctioning, I
the
guess.
future.
And then I look at the news. I look and see, hey, is there anything that could potentially put a wrench in my thoughts, right? Something that could cause the market to move in, a Fed announcement or things of that nature, right? So I put those kinds of things, or even inventory reporting crude, for example. So I look at those kinds of things, and I'm a little wary, honestly, when there's a big event. Oftentimes I'll just sit that day on the sidelines.
Right.
I don't even bother because it's not going to behave the way I've learned it to behave. Right. There's going to be something that comes out of some news item that's going to potentially cause the price to act in ways that you don't expect.
Right. I like to say that I sit the curbside and watch the parade go by.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'll eat popcorn and watch the movie because
Exactly,
that's the best you can do.
Raymond, what do you think are good qualities that make a trader successful?
I would say patience. I think you have to be both patience and discipline. I think are two of the qualities I think that are required to be a good trader. There are days that I come in all super anxious to want to trade, and I have to curb that feeling. I have to go out and do something else. I don't want to come into the market feeling hungry, right? I want to come into the market as objective and neutral as I can because it's that mindset that's going to get me into trouble, right? If I come into the market, I got to make my $500. Let's go make my $500. Well, you're probably going to get into a B setup or maybe a C setup, right? It's the patience and the discipline to wait.
Order filled.
To wait for the price action to do what you know it needs to do to follow your plan. That I think is a mark of a good trader.
Right, patience.
Patience and discipline.
Order rejected.
I like that. You're not jumping in right away.
Correct. Yeah. No. I basically reserve the first hour of the day of any market. Gold in this case from 5:30 to 6:30. I'm just on the sidelines watching, doing my sentiment analysis, looking at the news and that kind of thing. The same is true of crude. First hour trade, I just sit on the sidelines, do my homework, right? And it's after that period that I start to look for my opportunities.
Great. That's something that hopefully those that are taking notes have taken that note. It's good stuff, Raymond. All of us here, Better Trading, we're all looking to continue to grow. What are you hoping to continue to work on the most right now?
It's funny that you say that because one of the things that I've been working on is I sometimes I was working on, and one of the reasons for the payout was that I was cutting my winners short, right? I was in a winner, and whether it's anxiety of booking a profit or whatever the case may be, so, well, I can't let this be a loser kind of thing, right? So I've been working recently on making sure that I let my winners run, right? Let my winners run, and I know where I'm wrong, right? That's where my stop loss is. I know where it should go, and I just need to let it happen. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I had to work on. I said over the last few months is not being so excited or nervous that you close the trade, grasshopper out of the trade.
Right. Well, you got to be selective. I mean, this is all about you. I mean, you're the CEO of your company. You're the one making the big decisions,
Correct.
And you want to make sure the company's moving forward.
Correct.
So props on that. Let's talk about TopStep. Has TopStep made you a better trader?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, when I first came to TopStep, I was a mess. I had probably I don't know how many different combines I had blown up, right, reset, whatever the case may be, maybe, and also probably blown up a few accounts. So I really felt that one, I needed to come to somebody who's done it before. Two, someone that could not only educate me but hold me accountable, right?
Order filled.
And Mr. Hoagland, where went through the program, I guess they call it.
Good old Hoag. Yep.
Yeah. So I went through the education process with him.
Right.
Learned a ton from him with respect to market profile. So the education side, and then just kind of working on my mindset, working on finding my setups, finding my niche, right? My market that kind of resonates with me, right? And then
order filled.
Once I'm in the trade, I know where it's going. I know where I'm wrong. Let it happen. Let it take place.
Okay. Now there are a lot of rules in life in general. There are rules here at TopStep also. What one TopStep rule helped you the most?
Well, I would say two of them. I would say daily limit $1,000 daily limit. And I would say and you might have relaxed this a little bit now recently, but not trading through markets and not trading through big announcements, right? Keeping us on the sidelines. I think those are probably the two rules that have kind of, one, held me accountable, two, kept me safe.
Okay, cool. See, the thing is, Raymond, you're being smart about approaching the market. And, we all love to trade. We all get like overly excited.
Yeah.
When I log in, it's like right away, I'm looking for that move right away. Is there an opportunity right now?
Right.
And sometimes, you've got to pull yourself back. You got to say, okay, let's just slow things down a bit. You don't want to jump in right away. And you've got a good practice on doing the right thing there. Let me ask you, since I'm very appreciative of you being on here with us, what do you like most about TopStep?
Well, like I said, it's like the first love is trading. Okay. The second love is finding somebody who
Order filled.
Has the same passion you do, right? When you find your spouse or whatever the case may be, it's great to be paired up with somebody that shares the same passion. And I get that a lot from TopStep and everything, and all the videos and news, that I watch. That's what resonates. Your passion, or TopStep's passion in trading, right? So, one thing I read recently was you want to hang out with people that you want to be, right? And I think don't hang out with the people, the naysayers, right? They kind of pull you aside and say, oh, that'll never work, right? You want to be surrounded by people who are going to encourage you and hold you accountable and help you reach your dreams. And I think that's kind of what TopStep is for me.
That's awesome. Great answer. Very great answer. All right, well, Raymond, I appreciate you being with us. But before we go, I got two more questions.
Sure.
What do you do besides trading? You got any hobbies, collections? What do you do?
Well, I enjoy playing golf. So, while I do the mental gymnastics on the trading floor, I guess, virtual trading floor, I do a little mental gymnastics with myself and challenge myself on the golf course, right? So, in much the same way you're challenging yourself, and it's really a game about you in trading.
Right.
The same is true of golf, but in a different way. So, I really enjoy the sort of the mental challenge of golf and the individual challenge of golf in much the same way I enjoyed in trading.
They do run side by side.
Order filled.
Psychology, yes.
Order filled.
You're always, you got to make decisions. You got to plan ahead.
Order filled.
And it's a great thing to do. I know a lot of
Order filled.
And to use that. All right. Last question here, Raymond. This is the fun question. All right. Raymond, you stopped at the corner gas station and you said, hey, I got $5. I'm going to get a lottery ticket. You got that lottery ticket and got back in your car and you scratched it off and it was $1 million winner.
Order filled.
Now my question is, what are you going to do with that million? Let's just say it's tax-free.
Yeah.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
TopStep Junior, right?
Or
where I'm working with kids, on financial literacy and trading and things of that nature. I don't think we do enough of it. I know the whole financial literacy piece of it in schools, and I would think
order filled.
With that $1 million, it would be kind of seed money to help, build a company, focused on youth.
Order filled. Order filled.
The trading, right? Okay, but just the whole aspect of financial trading, financial literacy. I think that's help be able to help the youth with understanding the markets, because the market's getting more and more complex. It's not the same as I remember it. You park your money in the bank and everything's hunky dory. That's not the case anymore. People have to
order filled. Order filled.
I think that's kind of what I would do.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Mr. Patak, did you hear that? We'll give Raymond Ray, we're going to call you right after this interview.
Excellent. I'm happy to send it online.
But we got to get that lottery ticket first, okay?
Excellent. Yeah, I'll work on that aspect.
All right. Raymond, it's been a pleasure, my friend, honestly. Thank you very much for being with us today. For those that have just been educated and added some knowledge, don't forget to like and subscribe. And Ray, any closing words?
Keep your stops tight.
Keep your stops tight and keep your pants on.
Yes.
There you go. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, take care.
And joining me now for his first cable news interview since finding himself in that group chat is Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Let me first say, I've known you a long time. You've been covering national security issues for a long time. And
longer than you've been alive, probably.
I don't know about that.
Well,
you're not 100,
no,
but
not
yes,
100.
for quite a
Welcome to TopStep Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Raymond. Raymond has been with us. He's been funded with us. And, of course, Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. And today we've got one of our newest funded traders, Jerry. Jerry with us all the way up north, and I'm going to let him tell you about that. But first, remember, have your pencil sharpened, have ink in your pen, because taking notes will benefit you down the road. Let's bring in Jerry. Jerry, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Eddie. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much here. And before I hit the record button, Jerry was telling me where he is located. And as you can see, it looks like a lovely, lovely cabin. But Jerry, I'm going to let you share your location and tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, right now I'm at my cottage. We're on a lake in Ontario. By the way, I live in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And our cottage, where I am right now, is about an hour and a half outside the city, up in the country, which I enjoy because I've kind of been like this all my life, I guess, but I like the outdoors. I like the country. So my wife and I spend a lot of time up here. She's not here right at the moment, but I'm enjoying it up here myself.
Our good friends up north, and Jerry, I got to say that I'm a little jealous. I'm here in the Chicago suburbs, and there is no lake anywhere near here. So, but now, Jerry, tell us who or what got you interested in trading?
I'm retired. Obviously, you can see I'm an old guy, and I'm 74 years old, and I've had 2 major careers. My first one, I got high school mathematics and science. My second one, career, I left teaching and went to the private sector, and I ended up running human resources worldwide for a major Canadian telecommunications company. That brought me to about 1984, and then in 1984, I left and I started my entrepreneurship. I founded a few companies. The latest was I founded a software company, and I did an IPO, and this was back in 1999. So when I retired, well, and then I ran that company for a number of years, and then about 2004, 2005, I turned over the CEO-ship to someone else. I stayed on as chairman of the board for a year or two, then I left. However, I was quite young, relatively speaking, so I needed something to do, but I realized what I didn't want. I didn't want to manage people anymore. I enjoyed the creative ideas and, doing funding and raising money for a new venture, etc. However, I was finished with all of that, but I needed something to challenge me and I like to learn. So I like to learn new stuff. So anyway, to make a long story short, I was watching television in our home in California, and where we spend the winters, and I saw this advertisement for trading Forex. All right, so I said to my wife, I watched it for a while, and I said, you know what? I've never traded. I just lost lots of money by getting lot tips from rovers over the years. So I thought maybe trading is something I should take a look at. And I can do it by myself. I can do it anywhere in the world. And I can move at my own speed, so on and so forth. So anyway, I started dabbling in that. I didn't stay. I went back and forth. I ended up, going and getting a pilot's license and buying an airplane. And, so I got distracted. But I would say for about the last 10 years or so, off and on, I've been seriously involved in learning how to trade.
So my friends, hard work pays off, as Jerry said. Jerry can attest to that. Hard work does pay off, and it's been a journey for you. And it's nice to see that you're still active and you still want to learn things. I mean, sometimes you just want to kick back and say, you know what, I did enough. But it keeps us moving forward. It helps us. So good for you, Jerry. Now, since we're here for our Top Step interview, and Jerry, one of our newest funded traders, what are you trading right now, and why?
I'm trading futures right at the moment, and what I'm focusing on is I'm focusing on the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 and the Dow. And what I'm doing, by the way, I spend a lot of time studying it. I enjoy this, so I spend a lot of time after I finish playing golf, and it's too early for a cocktail. I go to the church, and I study and so on. So I'm also going to start trading oil futures, CL, shortly, and I also want to get into Forex. I'm not unfamiliar with Forex, as I mentioned earlier. I got my feet wet in that, 15 years ago or so. But I've also been doing a lot of forward guessing on Forex nerds, so I'm going to get into that as well.
Okay. All right. How long have you been here with us at Top Step?
No more than a year, I don't think. It's under a year.
All right. So being with Top Step,
and by the way, Eddie, I just want to mention that I contributed a lot of revenue to Top Step already.
Right. Next question. How about indicators? Do you use indicators? What's your secret method of trading?
Well, you know what? Yes, I do use indicators, and of course, everything I say is just my opinion. All right, it's arguable by many folks, right? But it's my opinion. What I've done is I've purchased indicators. I've joined trading groups where I had to pay monthly fees, and I would get an indicator review and so on. And you know what? I was never very successful in any of that, and I would like to emphatically state it had nothing to do with the indicators. It had nothing to do with the trading firms. It had to do with what I didn't learn personally, how to be a successful trader. When I migrated to, I'm quite confident that I really know what I'm doing right now, and I will humbly say I know a lot about trading. I study charts, I study various strategies, I forward them and backtest them. So what I have found out or at least I was going to guess.
Order
I said
filled.
to myself, I pay all this money out monthly to my indicators and join these trading groups, and frankly, I haven't succeeded yet. So what I started to do was I realized, look, I know what my problem is. I read somewhere that successful trading is 10% intellectual and 90% emotional. Well, most of us don't have any problem on the 10% intellectual. But what I have a lot of problem with is on the 90%. I did not know how to manage it. Fear, greed, wasn't patient enough, and wasn't disciplined enough.
Right.
And until I can learn those 4 things, I can go back, in my opinion, to any good strategy and make money.
Right. It's it all starts upstairs. I mean, we've all got the same opportunity to take whatever indicators, whatever methods, whatever strategies we have. It's about how we manage ourselves and how we keep an eye on ourselves, not just our account, but ourselves. I mean, it's talk to many traders, and it all sort of funnels right into that, where it starts up here. And no matter what indicators you use, whatever works for you. And that's a big factor. I mean, I've had interviews here where traders have said, I don't use indicators. I'm like, okay, well, how do you trade? Why do you see success? So, I mean, that's a big part of it. How about your strengths, Jerry? What would be one of your biggest strengths?
Well, one of my biggest strengths is if I'm motivated, I will put whatever time is required in order to become relatively expert at what I'm trying to do. So that is always
Order
been
filled.
my biggest strength all the way through my life. All my careers, the reason I've been one successful on all the careers I've done is because before I ever went in, I was extremely motivated. And once I am extremely motivated, I will do whatever's required to become really good at it. And that doesn't matter whether I'm trading, whether I'm playing golf, whether I'm flying an airplane, whatever. If I am motivated, then I am able to usually accomplish my goals.
Yeah, motivation. And boy, I mean, that's such a strong perspective in getting things done. I mean, through life, through trading. I mean, it's going to get you where you want to be, and on top of that, you're going to like doing what you're doing to get to where you want to be. That's motivation. How about a weakness, Jerry? You got any weaknesses?
I've always said through my business life, I was never a good manager of people. What I was good at is I'm a good leader. I'm good at raising money. I'm good at marketing. I'm good at spotting what might be a commercial idea and getting it to fruition. But when it comes to managing people, I was never very good. Some people liked me as a manager, some people did not. And that was primarily because I did not have the patience or, frankly, the desire to hold people's hands. What I was doing is I was running a for-profit organization. I had shareholder, particularly when I left my software company public. I had profit and loss was everything. So I was always pushing people, including myself. I led by example and do work hard. And I'm an old school guy. I'm an old school guy where I believe you work hard first, you create a positive performance, and then you'll get rewarded, not the other way around. So I pushed everybody that way, and as a result, not the best way to manage overall people. So that would be my greatest weakness. So when it came to training, one of the things I had to certainly accomplish was patience. I had to, all the things we read about in the books. I had to find the right strategy. I had to trust it. I had to be patient and wait for the trades and so on. So that was really difficult for me. I mean, through my experience in trading, I lost lots of money. I spent all sorts of money paying for courses and so on and so forth. And, that's probably my first business where I was operating in the red.
Well, I mean, we all hit that red level of every once in a while. But I mean, the thing is, it's those that see success learn from that and grow from that. And Jerry, you're sharing a lot of experience with us. And you've had that experience, you've had that opportunity, you've had success more than just trading. And it's very nice to hear this. And we thank you for sharing that. How about your growth? Okay, looking in the future, everyone's always looking to grow, to be better. What are you hoping to continue to work on most right now?
Obviously, because of my age, I'm 74. My goals are quite specific. When I was 30, as you heard from my background, when I was younger, I had all sorts of ambitions. Right now, my ambitions are very small. My wife and I are comfortable financially and so on. And, I want to preserve that. So really, my goal is I'd like to have my own little business, which I got in trading. And as we talked about, it keeps me interested. I really like it. I really like examining new strategies and so on. So from an intellectual point of view, I believe strongly that I'll age well if, one, I'm intellectually strong and I'm physically strong. So I work on both parts. And so I want to continue the trading just because it's a nice little business. I've always liked to make money. So you add some new money you might be into my golfers, and you may appreciate I do need to change my golf clubs every year.
But I mean, we're all here for a reason. The opportunity, the reward is so different than just having a 9-to-5 job. I mean, and if you like competition, I tell you, just being in the pits when I was on the trading floor, I mean, it was a competition every day. It was exciting, and there were times where we weren't doing nothing, but there were times where it was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And at the end of the day, you'd be like, boy, you know what? Everything cleared, all the trades matched up. Man, that was fun. Oh, that was fun. Made myself some money, made the company some money. And I loved it. I eat it up. And you can ask anybody that was on the trading floor. They miss it. They miss it a lot. But now we've got a different angle on it, where your own company, every trader is, this is Jerry's company. This is Eddie's company. It's all about you, accountability. Now, Jerry, my friend, has TopStep made you a better trader?
Yes, I have. And I just want to reiterate and underscore the point I made earlier that I didn't come to TopStep as a new trader. I already had been involved in all sorts of things, as I mentioned.
Right.
So I came to TopStep, to be very honest with you, because of my age. And I find it very silly to be risking a lot of money at my age. When I saw the advertisement on the internet somewhere, I can't remember how it all started, and I studied this. I didn't know anything about prop firms at the time. But when I read about a prop firm and what they did, I thought to myself, you know what? Why use my money if I can use somebody else's money? And if they only take 10% of the profits, no big deal. So I learned in business, particularly when I was founding companies, that do more with as much money as you can. You don't put all your money into your own venture. No entrepreneur would ever advise you to do that. So, it was intuitive to me and easy for me to see, oh, wow, maybe I can do this. So, and I joined TopStep and so on and so forth. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I paid many months. This didn't happen the first or second time. I had to do it many times. And what are the reasons? We already talked about the 4 things that I had to be really good at. Managing my greed, my fear, being patient, and being disciplined. So when I did that, I started to be quite successful and got to this point in the trading. So what was really good for me in TopStep was the fact that I had to be incredibly disciplined. The discipline aspect of TopStep is what made me, in my opinion, a successful trader to this point.
Right. It's each little step. We educate ourselves. Even if we take steps backwards, we're also always reviewing. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? Wow. Well, Jerry, I really appreciate you being here with us today and sharing your knowledge, sharing your education. Man of many successes. And I hope that our listeners and those that are watching have taken some notes and can sort of run with the ball that you've given them. It's been a very positive interview here. But before you go, I've got one fun question that I want to ask you, sir. Okay. If you could time travel, what time would you go? Where would you go?
I don't want to go forward because, frankly, my view as to where we as human beings are going on this planet is not very encouraging. So I don't want to go forward. So I'll have to go backwards. And, I don't want to go too far back because I've enjoyed so many aspects of my life today. I have a nice family, grandkids, so on and so forth. So frankly, I'm not answering the question, but I think I'll just have to say, you know what? I'm happy where I am, period.
Good for you. Okay. Well, that's an answer. And appreciate that. Once again, Jerry, thank you very much for being with us here. One of our newest funded traders. We wish you all the success in the future. And if you ever need a fishing buddy, give me a call because I will be up north so quick with my tackle box and my fishing pole. Jerry, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, and take care. We'll see you later. Welcome to TopStep Funded Trader Interview. And today we've got Michael. Michael's going to be with us here, one of our newest funded traders, and with a little twist. But before we get to Michael, remember, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen. Taking notes will and can benefit you down the road. Michael, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. Friday here in Chicago, a little cloudy. I'm being very humble. But it's the weekend, so I'm happy. Yeah. It's very nice to have you here with us, one of our funded traders, newest funded traders. And I did mention the twist. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Michael, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been trading for a little over 10 years. I think that I've gone through a progression that, I'm in the TopStep Discord group, and I've socialized with traders over the course of my career, and I think I've followed a path that a lot of traders follow, which is a lot of times because you're starting with a small amount of money, you start trading small caps or small stocks, micro caps, and as you progress, if you're fortunate, I believe you find your way to futures. I think futures is just a fantastic market. I like how it has kind of a macro focus. I like how you can touch on things outside of just equities. And so, yeah, so, over the course of my time trading, I've kind of gone from trading smaller stocks to trading kind of larger macro themes. And I found that it's just fit a lot better with my personality and what I'm interested in.
Something or somebody has pulled us all into this crazy business. What got you interested in trading?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my first internships when I was actually a senior in high school, so before I was even in college, was working with a financial advisor. And, he was a family friend. I think they were just trying to help me with my resume. I didn't get paid anything, but just so I could put that on my resume. But, I hadn't gone to college yet, and so I didn't really have any skills. So one of the things that he asked me to do was just to read the Wall Street Journal every day and to kind of update him on what was going on. And I was just obsessed with all of the articles they would write about hedge fund traders, right? So people my age at that time, they cared a lot about like what was going on in basketball, what was going on in the NFL.
Right.
And to me, I was following the top traders, and Paul Tudor Jones was kind of the person that got me hooked. The way that he looked at the markets, and also the way he was as a person outside of the markets, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And so it was a long path to get there, but that's the person I would say inspired me the most.
Cool. It's a good story. Now, I mentioned about the funding twist. Michael, tell us what you're trading now. And I mentioned this before. You started out with the trading combine. Mm-hmm. All right. And now you're in the swing account. Tell us about that. What happened and how you got there?
Yeah. So I've been with TopStep for almost 3 years at this point. And I've been funded in the intraday account for probably, off and on for probably close to a year. And I think one of the things that I realized is like in assessing my strengths and weaknesses, because that's the biggest thing about trading, right? Is like, the only constant is change. There's no such thing as like making it. You are constantly improving and getting better. And one of the things that I kind of learned was, and even kind of think about what I talked about earlier about reading the Wall Street Journal every day when I was younger, is understanding the larger macro themes that are moving markets is, I would say, something that's a strength of mine. And it's a strength simply because it's what interests me. And so while I, did decently well in the intraday account, I switched to the swing account because I realized that a lot of the ideas that I had would play out over the course of days and weeks and sometimes even months, but I was struggling to capture that, trying to get in and out every day. And so once I was able to kind of hold positions based on a catalyst happened, I think this is going to have an impact for weeks or months. It really freed me up to trade the way I saw the markets versus being limited by intraday rules.
Awesome. And, I tell you, if there's an open door, see what's behind it. Take that step. And in your case, things worked out very well.
Yeah.
So props to you on that. When you're trading, share with us, do you use indicators, by the way?
I do use indicators. I don't use a ton. I probably only use 2 or 3 and then kind of layered over multiple time frames. But the simplest way I can put it is I use anchored VWAPs and then standard deviations around those anchored VWAPs. So what was the VWAP intraday, over the course of the week, over the course of the month, over the course of the quarter, and then what would be a standard deviation move away from those? Like I was saying, I use indicators, but I really just use them as a way to structure trades, structuring entries, and then structuring scaling out of a trade over time. But the underlying theme behind my trades is always based on fundamentals. And it right now is a fascinating time because there are so many big fundamental catalysts going on that if you can kind of interpret what a CPI print means, or what the Fed speak means, or, kind of today's a perfect example, what the jobs data actually means, because sometimes good news is bad news, because it's going to be impacting the Fed to be aggressively hawkish, things like that.
Right.
Those types of things are what I really base my trade around. Like I said, the technicals are just a way to structure entries and exits.
Let me ask you about the Feds.
Sure.
Do you trade into the Feds, or do you sit back, let the dust settle, let the noise chill out, and then catch the true move?
I would say I have kind of a dual approach, and this is true with almost all of my trades. I'm definitely more of a swing trader. I would say the biggest blessing I ever had was kind of being forced to trade intraday for so long, because I have the intraday skills now, but my instinct is more to let things play out over time. So for example, like when the Fed print comes out or when the CPI comes out, because those have been the 2 biggest market movers lately, what I'll do is I'll very quickly kind of intraday trade the initial reaction off of certain levels. And then based off of where it settles, I'll settle into a swing position and let that play out over the course of days or weeks.
So you do let the dust settle a little bit until you get that good vision. And,
I do. I would say I trade small, because you only need a small amount when things are swinging around by hundreds of points.
Exactly.
And then once the dust settles, I'll build into a bigger position.
All right. Awesome. Now, we got a lot of traders listening to this recording, this broadcast, and new traders do like to watch these Funded Trader interviews. What words of wisdom would you share with a new trader?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something I care a lot about because I really like to work with newer traders. When you've worked really hard to kind of learn a certain skill, it feels good to help other people, but it also makes you better. Right. When you have to articulate simply what it is that you do, it actually makes you a better trader. So it's like a double win. And so the advice I would give is twofold. The first one's going to seem counterintuitive. The second one I don't think will. The first one is that trading is not that hard. And I know that sounds crazy, but when it comes to finding a strategy that actually has statistical edge, it's not that hard to do. You can definitely pay for a service somewhere to learn somebody else's strategy. But honestly, like when I started trading 10 years ago, I just looked at charts, looked for patterns, and I was successful pretty quickly and consistently over time trading my own money because I didn't think that it had to be complicated. I just found simple patterns and waited for them. So like understand that it doesn't have to be complicated would be number one. But the second one, which I think is even more important, is that we all know that trading is more of a mind game, right? But like the way to understand that I've found is that most people are trying to get over fear. They're trying to force themselves past the fear. And the goal is not to get over fear. It's to let go of the attachment that you have to winning on this trade, to being a 7-figure trader. It's letting go of the idea of who you think you are and who you're going to be, and just like enjoying being in the markets. It's a beautiful process. Winning is great because it helps you trade more and you have more money in your account, and losing is great because it teaches you where your weaknesses are. And if you can genuinely let go of I'm a winner or I'm a loser and just learn along the way and realize like this is something that I can get better at for my entire life, that's a beautiful thing to have in your life. And if you can look at it through that lens, you don't get overconfident when you win, and you're not, in tons of pain when you lose, which, I experienced that for a really long time. So once I kind of learned to let go and not attach to, trading is who I am, it's just one of the many things that I do. I don't feel fear very often. I just kind of do. It's more creative than analytical, and it's much more enjoyable.
See, now that's a unique approach. The majority of us, we do fear the market. It's like we go to battle every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know on the trading floor, you weren't just battling the market, but you were battling the guy next to you and the guy behind you and the guy in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
This is, like I said, very unique. And if we can program ourselves, the mindset, that's just so important. It all starts upstairs.
Yep.
And if you can keep it flowing and you don't have that anxiety, you don't have that stress, and it's hard not to.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to a point where you see success, it comes more often.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it, and it's just part of your day.
100%. And that's one of the things too that I noticed, like to kind of piggyback on one of your earlier questions, you talk about or asked me about like what inspired me. I said Paul Tudor Jones, but kind of the way I learned about him was through the book Market Wizards. I think anybody that's a trader knows about that book. And one of the commonalities you'll notice with a lot of the people that were successful there is that they had some massive blow up at some point. And what I believe is the process of like going through a huge, horrible loss, it helps you in that detachment. If you have this illusion that I'm going to be, even if it may be true one day, if you have this illusion that I'm going to be this huge, successful, multi-million-dollar trader, and then that idea of yourself just gets completely destroyed, you kind of finally let go of it. And then you just see the markets for what they are, not for what you want them to be. And you can start to trade off of your own talents, because we all have a talent for this, I believe. The right time frame, the right market, we all are wired a certain way that will be successful. It's about being able to see that realistically and not through the fantasies that you create for yourself looking at the markets.
It's desire, it's passion. It's
yep.
I've got an itch. I got to trade. So a lot of us are like that.
Yep.
But what you just added, that's gold knowledge. And I hope those that are listening can take that with them and apply it to their progress. It's good stuff there. What do you like most about TopStep?
I think TopStep is great. I think it's one of the best things that I've found in my trading career, because it allows you to both trade without the risk of losing your own money, but also feel the real emotions of when what you're trading matters. If you're trading simulation, you're not risking any money, but you don't have any goals necessarily. And even in the combine, even though it's not real, you feel the pressure. And that's the only way you're going to be able to learn. Am I holding on too tight, or can I actually just let go and do what I'm supposed to do? I don't know the numbers, but I could guess that 90% of the people that fail out of the combine probably do so because they break their daily loss limit. That's probably the most common rule.
You're right.
Yeah.
Dead on.
And the reason you break your daily loss limit is because you are attached to an idea that day, And so if you're in a simulated account, you can just restart it and it doesn't matter. But if you're in the combine, you feel the pain of, I actually didn't do what I was supposed to do. So having your risk management rules set and forced on you, I think is the most valuable thing that TopStep provides for traders, because it turns it into a habit that you should have whether you're in TopStep or not.
All right. Like that answer. Good stuff. Now, besides trading, besides seeing, you've been trading for 10 years, what other things do you do besides trading?
Yeah. I used to be really into very intense sports. So I love surfing. I lived in Hawaii for a while. I used to surf on the North Shore.
Nice.
I liked to just do kind of those life risking type of sports. As I've gotten older, gotten married, have more personal responsibilities, I've kind of chilled out a bit. But so, I love going for really long hikes. I think one thing that may be apparent from my answers is that I've gotten really into meditation. It's ironic. It's one of those things where I started meditating to become a better trader. Mm-hmm. And I'd almost say now I almost trade to become a better meditator. It's almost like an extension of that practice.
Wow.
Because it bleeds into so much more of your life. You're able to handle stressors better. You're able to see things more clearly. And so, so that like meditating is one of the main things that I do. And it's not just sitting down on the cushion. I go for a lot of long walks. I would say now my favorite hobby is probably hiking, deep in the woods and in the mountains. I live in New England, so there's a lot of that here. But just, I like to do things that help calm me down because life is stressful, markets are stressful. And if you can both exercise and relax and kind of meditate at the same time, it's very productive.
You got that right. You got that right for sure. Well, Michael, I appreciate you being here with us. Any last words here for our fellow traders?
Yeah, I think the one other piece of advice that I would give is that this is true for myself, and it's true for kind of the best traders that I know. Right? Like, take your ego and throw it out the door. Reach out to people, right? Like, I think one of the great things about TopStep is that they have a lot, they have a community, they have a Discord room. If you see people doing things that are impressive, just ask them what they're doing. I think I mentioned it earlier, but like, one of the things people want to do when they achieve a certain level of success, however you define that, is it's very gratifying to help other people. And it can be intimidating to do that. But that's how you're going to get ahead. So don't be scared to reach out to people. We're nice. We're happy to help. And it'll help you grow.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it, is questioning somebody that has seen success. And I don't think I've come across anyone that says no, learn it on your own. I mean, on the trading floor, I had guys, pull me aside saying, hey, you want to be here, you want to stay here, this is what you got to do.
Yep.
So awesome. I appreciate that. Well, Michael, thank you very much for being with us here. One of our funded traders. Maybe catch him on Discord, but otherwise, Michael, once again, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think that's about it. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, and trade well. Take care. Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Emmanuel. Emmanuel, one of our traders, been with the program here for a bit, had failed an account, got back up on the horse, and is funded once again. But before we get to Emmanuel, remember, have your pencil sharpened, have ink in your pen, because taking notes will benefit you. I'd like to welcome Emmanuel. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Eddie.
Very nice to have you here with us today. And hey, props to you, respect for coming back from a lost funded account and just putting things together, coming back, getting it back, and then having that funded account back on your desk again.
That's right. That's right. As of a week ago.
Good. Cool. Now, Emmanuel, tell us about yourself.
Emmanuel Erskine, my name, and I was a small business owner. I say was because I have sort of decided that I want to trade full time. So I'm sort of veering away from my business. I really enjoy trading with passion. I'm 55 years old. I have 2 little kids, and of course my wife is also a TopStep trader. Yeah, she's a TopStep trader, and she's my partner in crime. This is she's a real estate appraiser, but the dream is trading. We really love it that much.
Fantastic. Now, how did you get interested in trading?
A long time ago, when I was about 30, I worked for a bank as a broker representative. As you know, a broker representative in a bank just means that you are fulfilling orders for other customers. However, having taken the securities course, I started dabbling in the market a little bit without any success. About 5 years ago, I started looking around. I came across a couple of really good platforms that taught trading, or at least helped us understand trading. I got an opportunity to learn and understand candlesticks. But again, I wasn't there. I still couldn't find my
Order
way
filled.
to. I didn't even know what the futures market was at the time. Eventually, I gave up for a little while. My wife, though, got pregnant and started scalping. When she started scalping, she would call me and discuss, opportunities with me. And I just started feeling hooked again. This is what brought me back in. Did some research on YouTube, and here I am. 5 years later, doing trading as a futures trader.
Back at it again. Itching for it. Good. Now, what are you trading now, and why?
I trade NQ. NQ because NQ will give you what you're looking for in a hurry, but it requires a lot more discipline as well, because it'll also take you out in a hurry. I traded ES and YM. ES taught me how to be patient.
Right.
YM, YM is nice to trade, but I really liked it, but I preferred NQ just because of the speed at which it moved. And of course, you can do a lot more with NQ with one contract, and you would require 3 contracts on YM to do the same thing. So
right. Those markets, you can almost superimpose them over each other, right, and they all move the same direction. Right. We used to call those the 3 sisters, and S&P was like the little sister tagging along, and we use that. But how about indicators? Now, we all got indicators. A lot of us use the same indicators, but see different things. What indicators are you using? Are you using indicators?
I don't use any indicators.
None, huh?
No.
What's your process?
My process is, how I was taught was you either take a trade at resistance, so you're actually selling at what you have identified as resistance, or you're buying at what you have identified as support. Try not to trade in between. Be patient enough for it to go to the bottom, or be patient enough to wait for it to go to the top. Other process is I'll draw some channels, and channels with whether they're going down or they're going up, and I wait for the break of channel. If I wait for a break and close of a channel, then I will either take the long or I'll take the short. So I've kept it very, very simple. Yeah, so far it has been successful.
Now, you had a funded account with us prior.
Right.
and that was busted. What happened with that first funded account?
What we were taught is that if you are anxious for the money, you are going to be anxious. You're going to be desperate to make the money. TopStep is designed so brilliantly that if you are anxious to finish the combine, you'll actually take a lot longer to finish the combine. It was loading up on contracts because you get desperate and you get greedy. Even though it's giving you what you need, you always want more because you're trying to finish the combine in a hurry. And when you do that, you also lose focus. And when it goes against you, when you got 5 contracts on and it goes against you, you get busted really quick. Within 2 or 3 shots, you're done. Right. When I first got my funded account, I was very, very anxious to make money. I really was. And when I blew it within that same day, I was in so much shock. It happened so quickly. Let's hope this time around I can keep it a lot longer.
Let's hope so. Well, it makes sense. Haste makes waste. Right. Slow and steady wins this race. Right. And you can't be looking at the money. You got to look at the wins. And eventually you'll get there, and eventually you'll get your payout. Right. So well said. And I hope, like I said, taking notes. I hope those that are listening have taken that note and will take that to heart, because that is really what happens. Now, what qualities do you think, Emmanuel, makes a good trader?
Patience is number one. I mean, without patience, you got nothing. You have to wait for the trade. Get anxious to get in. And after we've blown all our shots, the trade actually shows up. And when the trade shows up, you can actually see, you can feel it. This is the trade. But sometimes we get anxious because there's something going on in the back of your mind. You want to get somewhere quickly, or you want the money quickly, or you've been staying up all night just trying to figure out what you're going to do, and then you turn your computer on, all your rules go out the window. Yeah. And you can't even there's a lot, especially with NQ, there are a lot of fake outs. You think this is it, and you realize no, this is not it. But by the time you realize this is not it, it's too late. So
it's too late. Right?
Awareness is the next big one. Being very aware of what you are thinking all the time, because you might not realize that you're not thinking at all. What might be going through your mind and what you're doing are 2 completely different things. So patience, awareness, and a little bit more confidence. Sometimes you just have to be confident to take the trade. Fear is what inhibits this confidence. If you are not loading up on contracts, it'll help the fear. Go in one at a time. Keep the fear at bay. Keep your losses, your stop loss. You might have to keep it tight till you know that you're sure of the movement.
Right. Building that confidence. That's work in itself. Day to day, from good days to bad days, and just keeping your head above water. Very good. Very well said. Emmanuel, has TopStep made you a better trader?
Absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned, and I've mentioned to many of your colleagues when I call in, it's just brilliantly designed. It is designed to help you find to tackle the psychology. Trading, anybody can make money at trading, but the psychology behind being able to keep the money is a completely different ballgame. You can make the money, but keeping the money is where the trading is done. Being able to keep that money and being able to know when enough is enough, because greed is very powerful. And you might not realize that it's greed that you want more. You always want more. Right. You think tomorrow will never come for some reason.
Well, you know what? You said it. I mean, greed is the root of all evil, especially in trading. You've got to leave that outside. You can't have that anywhere near your trading. And, too many traders don't realize that it sneaks up on them. I mean, we're all human. We all want more. And when there's an opportunity, we want even more than that. So, I mean, that's a big killer, having that greed factor sitting next to you as you trade. So once again, well said, Emmanuel. Let me ask you this. What was the one TopStep rule that helped you most?
The scaling plan.
Okay.
And the daily loss limit.
Yeah, daily loss limit. That'll keep you in the game. A lot of traders, they don't like that. They hate that rule, but of course we all hate it, but it's going to keep you in the game. It's not going to wipe out your account. Emmanuel, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your journey with other traders. But before we go, I usually have that fun question I like to ask. And the question for you, my friend, what's the most beautiful place you've ever been?
There is a place in the Bahamas that, it's right in Bahamas. It was just a place that we had rented. I think what made it beautiful is because, I was there with my family, and, we rented a place right on the beach. A stone throw from the beach, and I just have a lot of lovely memories about that.
Fantastic.
But I'm from Ghana, West Africa.
Oh, okay.
I have there are just a lot of beautiful places there. That
I would imagine.
Beautiful, beautiful places there.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Emmanuel, thanks for being with us. Any last words here?
I just like to say that, first of all, TopStep is an incredible program, and I wish people understand how it can help them, become better traders. It's very difficult, and it can be very, very taxing on the mind, on the emotions and all that. But if we can learn to sort of, overcome, drawdowns, pick ourselves up and come back strong the following day, you will find that you actually do get better every time you come back. You really do get better. So I just hope that people will be patient and go through the process.
Fantastic. Once again, Emmanuel, thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank those that are taking notes and listening and getting some of the shared knowledge from our good friend Emmanuel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And once again, thank you, Emmanuel. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, take care. Welcome to Top Steps Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Amar. Amar's going to be with us, one of our newest funded traders, and he's going to share his journey with us to success to the funded account. Before we start, remember, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen, because what's going to be said is going to benefit you. There's a lot of good information here to help you along your journey also. So let's bring him on. Amar, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking and being here with us today. I'd like to thank you for being here and sharing your journey with TopStep. Now, Amar, tell us about yourself a little bit.
So I'm actually 19 years old. I'm going to school here in Boston College, and I'm studying finance. So I'm a sophomore too. So that's kind of where I'm at, like in terms of like what I'm doing in my day to day. And obviously every morning still trading with TopStep is what I kind of spend my days doing.
All right. Now, who or what gave you the bug of trading? Who got you interested in this?
So honestly, I was just kind of how a lot of people I know started. You're on YouTube, you see a thumbnail of a Lamborghini or some crazy car, and you're like, oh, wait, how do you do this? And you kind of look into it. But I mean, obviously now that I have more knowledge, I know half those people, are just kind of doing that for the marketing side of it. But knowing and seeing kind of it firsthand, I know it's still possible, which is what kind of led me to keep going in my journey.
Now, is this how you educated yourself? Sort of a little bit here and a little bit there?
Yeah. So I actually didn't really buy any like specific courses. Most of my education came from just reading, and YouTube especially. I found that, I mean, obviously at first there's just so much information out there. So a lot of people can get overwhelmed with, what's out there. But kind of one of the best things that I did was I just kind of picked a small few of people that like I kind of stuck with for a long time. And even though if their trading style isn't, lines up with mine, you can still kind of pick and choose some things that they do, and you can kind of implement in your own trading.
See, that's what's so nice about it. I mean, there's a lot of information out there, and like you said, pick and choose what works for you. And it's a big test procedure. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Does this work? Does this not work? And you finally dial it in to what does work. Now, exactly. Amar, what are you trading now and why?
So right now I'm just sticking to the ES futures. I'm just picking, I pick those because it's kind of like over time you get a feel for how something trades. I remember before when I was kind of into options trading, we'll talk about that later. I was kind of trading a ton of different things, and you kind of don't really get a feel for something you're trading constantly because you're switching up from, oh, this one's moving, this one isn't moving. So by trading just ES futures, and I trade every single day, I kind of see some patterns that, the SP 500 does that for some people might shake them out. But for me, like I've seen this before. I know the move's still intact, and just kind of little things like that, which is why, I really like trading SP. I used to hate it first because a lot of times I find it like, we have like a clean, easy uptrend, and then out of nowhere, this huge red candle comes out, but only for it to get bought back up. So kind of just things like that I kind of noticed from just trading every single day, and it's actually I've seen much success doing that.
Right. In trading, remember, expect the unexpected. That's always the safest way to go. How long have you been here with us at TopStep?
I've actually been with you guys since May of 2022, so okay. A little shorter than most of the traders I've seen on these interviews. However, I started with a $50,000 account, and after kind of the first month, I just want to switch up to 150,000. I just didn't really feel comfortable with kind of that size. Like I wanted a little more size, but still kind of lowering my daily losses and daily profits just so I can have a more cushion. Okay.
How many combines did you have?
Probably a solid amount. I don't have an exact number, but you probably can count on my hand.
Okay, good. All right, good. So you're moving along pretty decent. In May, I mean, it takes a while, and it's not easy. Trading is not easy, but once you can find a path that works for you, you stay on that path, and keep moving forward. And that's what you did, and that's why you got funded. Indicators, do you use any?
At first, I had 30,000 indicators on my screen, as everyone has. But over time, I kind of realized that, my favorite three things to just look at when trading is obviously just candle, price action, volume, and then I'll have like an EMA just kind of sometimes when I like to hold some like one contract or something, it's kind of like ride the EMA. If it goes my way, it goes my way. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. So I just kind of like keeping it simple because I don't know, I feel like I have a little OCD. So just having everything clean, straight cut, just my levels, price action, that's all I really need.
Okay. Now, how about your strength? What are you most proud of in your strength of trading?
I feel like my strength when it comes to trading is just kind of waiting for the setup to come. A lot of times I wait till 9:30 and then I'll find myself a minute into the market. I'm already into something, which I usually wouldn't, it's not a high probability trade. So I got really, really good at just kind of having my rules right in front of me, what my entry criteria is. And then if it triggers, I get in. If not, I just sit on my hands. So just kind of having the discipline and the patience just to wait until the high probability setup comes my way. And if not, then I move on to the next day.
Right. You wait for that opportunity, be frugal, be stingy, be selective. Don't throw things against the wall and hope they stick, which, a lot of traders tend to do just to get in the market. So wait, timing is everything. How about a weakness? You got a weakness?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like my biggest weakness, and even I kind of see it a little bit right now still, is kind of controlling the red days. When I go in the market pretty disciplined, and then the first, like say 3 trades, I followed everything, but they're red. It kind of gets to my head still. And I find that sometimes I'll just go in like a 4th trade with like double the size or a little, and that obviously leads to a ton of revenge trading and kind of just like blowing up your account and just digging yourself into a deeper hole. Because my statistics, I mean, for the month, like I'll have like a few red days, but usually if you look at the calendar that I have, like where I write how much I made that day, the red days are usually very big compared to all the green days. So as long as I can limit them to a certain amount, I found a lot of success with that.
Right. And, we all sort of fall into that sort of category where, we're only human, revenge trading. I need to get that money back. And usually what I'll do is I'll ask myself that question. Why did you put that stop in? Or why did you buy that 2 lot? And if I don't have a good answer, then most likely I'm revenge trading or emotions are taking over or the FOMO, fear of missing out. I see a big move. I got to jump in. So I'm always asking myself that question, like, why? And I got to have a good answer. If I don't, then I know I'm doing something wrong. How about some words of wisdom? A lot of traders out there listening, a lot of new traders like yourself. What would you like to share with a new trader? Words of wisdom.
I'd say the number one thing that a new trader should focus on is just kind of building their trading method in a more systematic way where they can just kind of run it day in and day out. And then at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you'll see that you'll be green. I mean, obviously if the system is faulty, then you won't be green, but most of the time, people spend a lot of time making this amazing trading plan. The next day they go in, completely throws out the window. So as long as you can stick to systemizing your trading and just doing it day in and day out, the results will show at the end.
Right. And so when you got to take a few steps back, reevaluate, and sometimes when that game plan is just not coinciding with that lovely market, sometimes I just shut it down. I don't want the battle. I don't want the stress. I don't want the anxiety. I'll walk away. Now, what do you think are some good qualities that would make a trader a successful trader?
I feel like kind of what we already touched upon, but patience and discipline are the number one things that people should focus on. And like everyone, they always say, oh, I always hear this on Instagram, patience, discipline, but people really underestimate how important those 2 are, because if one thing goes wrong, you either throw one out the window, one thing goes wrong, you throw them both out the window, and you find yourself, just getting yourself into a bigger hole. So I feel like just having this discipline, and you can practice this by things outside of trading, starting to go to the gym. That's what I did. I started, a schedule of when I go to the gym every day, how much time I read during the day, just like kind of doing small things in your day to day, which remind you that, oh, I do have some discipline, and that can kind of transform into your trading.
Right. Now, I see that you're working out, you're mentally and physically preparing yourself for a good trade day, and that's the way to go. Good job. Now everyone's looking to continue to grow. What are you hoping to continue to work on most right now?
I feel like the biggest thing that I want to continue working on is just kind of how long I can stay into kind of seeing constant growth in my account, because I noticed a lot when I was trading options. I kind of have the longest like green streak I kind of had was like a month and a little bit, but there was like some red days in between, but then I found myself, I just blew up. So kind of one thing that I'm really working on now is just kind of continue, because I'm already at like a month right now, fully green, even though like adding both combines. So I want to see how long I can keep it up. And obviously I don't want to think about like any drawdowns, but I just want to keep that going.
Okay. Now all of us as traders, we see the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And, we all have to make adjustments. How were you able to make adjustments as you went along? And what were some of the most significant improvements you've made in your trading?
Yeah, so I feel like one of the biggest things that helped me make these adjustments is kind of staying really disciplined into making sure I journal every single day. A lot of times, you have a green day, you're so happy to journal about this, it's going to be the best. And then you have a red day, you're like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll trade better tomorrow, and then I'll do them both. But me just sticking to every single night, I come in, and after I finish all my college work, I want to finish my homework first. I just want to have kind of like a clear head, ready to just do this journal, get ready for the next day. And I'll fill it out, and you just got to be completely honest with yourself. A lot of people just kind of justify their wrongdoings, but if you're just going to do that, you're really never going to learn from your mistakes. If you read my journal, I just get cut right to it. Like, what are you doing here? This is no entry. You're just entering because you didn't get a signal early on in the day. You shouldn't be trading this time of day. Just things like that over time. Then once you see it every single day, you're like, all right, if I cut this out, guess I would have made X amount more money this month. And you just start picking up on those little things, which I've honestly found a lot of success when I stuck to that journal every single day.
You got to do the work. And like you said, on a losing day, I'll do it tomorrow. That's when you should be journaling the most. And this is something where you've got to fix, you've got to fine tune, you've got to change things a little bit. So on those bad days, make sure those are the most important days to journal. But props to you for journaling. A lot of traders don't like to do it, or I don't got the time, but it does help. It does help. Has TopStep made you a better trader?
Yeah, 100%. I think it really has, due to the fact, the rules set in place kind of have put some accountability onto your own trading. So a lot of people say trading is so difficult because, you're in the space by yourself. No one's looking after you. Like no one's looking over your shoulder to see if you're doing the right thing or not. TopStep in a way is doing that. By having these rules, you kind of have to create structure in a way that, you can't just blow up, that same day, because they're just going to give you that X and then you have to either reset or wait for the month or whatever. So by having those rules, it sets kind of as like a framework for like how you should be trading. And it's like, all right, they're holding me accountable for what I do. I have to do X, Y, Z.
Right. Exactly. And that's a good bit of sharing knowledge, is approaching it that way. And looking at it that way is, if you're by yourself, a lot of us are lone wolf traders, or, and like I said before, you got to ask yourself questions. If you're sitting there by yourself, ask yourself questions. Why am I doing this? Have a right answer. Have a good answer. What do you like most about TopStep?
I feel like obviously the rules, like I said, because that significantly made my trading better. Also the Discord. And although I don't kind of use it in the morning with other traders, because I found myself kind of having some biases when I see other people's opinions. So I kind of just do my own thing and then hop on it after I'm done trading. But I just love the Discord in a way where, anytime of day you ask a question, you'll just get it answered. Like, it doesn't matter when it is. There's so many people, so there's such a good community on that Discord where, even if you're a new trader or you're experienced, everyone kind of treats everybody the same there, and you'll get anything answered at any time of the day, basically.
I like that new Discord channel too. There's a lot of information, a lot of sharing, a lot of good people, and it's been built up the correct way. I know there's a lot of options out there, a lot of forums and chat channels, and I'm one of the admins there, and I'm very proud to say that it's working very well. There's great people in there, so I'm glad that you're in there and you're taking advantage of it. Outside of trading, outside of college, do you have any hobbies, collections, sports, music?
So kind of my favorite things to do is play some pick up basketball. I don't play for any kind of big teams or anything, but just pick up basketball with my friends. I'm really into weightlifting, powerlifting. That's a really big thing between me and my buddies. And then obviously now that we're in the NFL season, I love watching football. Fantasy football is a really big thing too. So that's kind of what I spend my time doing.
Favorite team?
Patriots, obviously.
Patriots, obviously. It's like when we had the Bulls, 6 championships in 7 years. But I appreciate that. So go Pats.
Go Pats.
Now, okay, time for the fun question. All right, good news. You got good news. You inherited $1 million tax-free from a long-lost uncle who's passed on to greater pastures. How are you going to spend this money? Are you going to invest it, spend it, share it with me?
So, I don't want to give the generic, finance bro answer. So I'll just kind of keep it realistic here. I'd obviously take probably $200,000 of that money and just buy my favorite car. Because a lot of what got me into trading, obviously how I talked about the YouTube thumbnails of the cars is I just have a huge love for cars. I always go to car shows. So I'd probably take that first 200K, buy some kind of car.
What kind of car?
Specifically probably a BMW M5 competition. Those are kind of going for, upwards in 130,000, but I have some.
M5. That is a badass car. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously with the rest of the money, I don't really like spending too much on clothing or anything expensive. So I'd probably just put it the rest and kind of just investment. Right now, market's obviously taking a dip, so it's a good time to buy, especially for somebody my age.
Well, that's good. Somebody your age, and hey, props to you. Young. It's like you've got your head screwed on correctly. You're doing the right things. You're going to college. You're taking time out. You're learning trading. You're working out, and it's a very impressive interview here. And once again, I really appreciate you being with us here. And all the best going forward. And just remember, TopStep is here for you. And if you do need us, just give us a call. So once again, Amar, thank you very much for being with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. And until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, and take care. Welcome to TopStep's Funded Trader interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Michael with us. Michael, one of our newest funded traders, going through the TopStep process, working hard, passing the trading combine, and getting to that promised land, the funded account. But before we get into that, I want to remind you, make sure your pencils are sharpened. Make sure there's ink in your pen because taking notes can and will benefit you in the long run. Now let's get to our funded trader, Michael. Michael, how are you?
I'm great, as always. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you very much for asking. And I hope everybody that is watching and listening is having a good day too. So, Michael, let's start this out. We're going to fire it up. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, I'm Michael, and I just turned 20 a couple days ago, actually the day I passed my combined trading, so that's really awesome. And I'm from South Korea, but for educational purposes, I've been living in Canada for 5-6 years, and then in the United States, in Illinois, Chicago, for last 2 years. So yeah, let's go Chicago.
Woo, Chicago!
Yeah, so I'm just studying financial engineering as my major, but since it's financial engineering, it's more it's engineering, but also it's in the financial field. So I got interested in those trading. So that's how I started trading also.
So that's what got you interested. There wasn't a buddy, a friend, an uncle, or something you saw in advertisement that said, learn how to trade or trade. This sort of brought you to it?
Actually, I started to trade stocks. It's my first time trading in October or September of 2020. So it's been 2 years now. So everything was going crazy because there was a huge market drop in March and April, but everything just went up all the way, even higher after that. So I've seen many other people around me making some good money, also lose a lot of money too. But yeah, most of them made money from the huge boost up. So I think that's how I got interested in trading. And from then I just learned to trade, and I lost a lot of money when I first traded, but I learned from losing. So after each losses, I thought of what could I have done much better, or in the future, what should I do instead? And I think losing is a process of making me better.
If we didn't experience failure, we wouldn't know how to be any better.
Right.
So it's part of the process, and you gotta, especially in this business, you gotta understand that losing is part of the business.
Right.
Do you have any education before you started here with TopStep?
Not really. I have been learning to trade by myself. So I have 3 steps of learning. So first one is just on YouTube or either in book. I learn about whether it's an indicator or it's a concept. I just learn what it does, the basic fundamental stuff. And then I go back to the past charts. So I apply it and find out what I learned from the YouTube or books, and then find it from the past charts and search for patterns or anything I learned And then once I feel like I'm more confident with those concepts, then I move to the actual like present time, real time charts, and then apply it to make sure like everything I learned from past charts and applied it there is also working in real time. So I think that's self-education, I guess. So
Sure.
not much from other traders, but yeah, I learned to trade myself.
Now, Michael, what are you trading now?
Currently I'm just only trading futures and options. On Combine, I only trade NASDAQ, so NQ and crude oil, just those two.
So you like a lot of action, huh? You like a moving market or nothing.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about TopStep now. How long have you been with us?
I think it's less than a month now, about a month or 3 weeks.
Okay, and you caught on quickly, and wow, that's honestly that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. So, props to you, Mike. Let's break it down now. There's got to be some weaknesses. There's got to be some weaknesses, and of course, obviously, you're showing a lot of strengths. Let's talk about your weaknesses. What would you say would be your top weakness in trading?
My top weakness would be probably psychology, which would be hard for many other traders too. So by psychology, first of all, it would be like cutting losses, because always you feel like, oh, it's going to go up or it's going to go down. Like, man, like what's going to happen like afterwards? Like, would it go the other way if I sell it or close the position? Those mentalities, it really affects your trading. So when I first started trading Combine, like since it's a funded account, the requirements for losses are pretty tight, to be honest.
Right.
So of course it's a good thing because it makes you like focus more on P&L or like rate, like better entry points and like having a tight stop losses. So it helps you manage your risk. But also at the same time, because I was a more of an aggressive trader who cared more about like how much potential profits I can make and didn't really care much about the risk, how much I can lose. So I was having a bit of trouble finding a better entry points with better returns and lesser risk, and then also cutting some losses. And also when you lose like 2-3 trades in a row, that's been a typical issue for me because I felt less confident with my entry points or my strategy. So I tend to make a bad decision. So I think having a strong mentality and psychology is an important thing, which I should practice more on.
It's very important. I believe it all starts upstairs with a good mindset. I mean, we're all looking at the same thing. We've all got fairly the same charts, indicators. We're watching the same movement,
right?
And it's just a matter of managing your account and managing yourself.
Right.
So, now, Michael, what qualities make a good trader?
I think the most important quality for trader is endurance. So of course, as being a trader, you'll have a losing day, you're going to have a winning day. But at the end of the day, the winner isn't the one who's making the money or who's losing the money, but who just keeps doing it. So as I mentioned earlier, I've lost a lot of money when I first got into stocks trading, but I didn't give up. And I just worked harder and harder to just like become better, reflect on my losses, and then make myself a better trader. I remember that seeing a statistics that like over 90% of the traders like quit trading within the first 1 or 2 years, and then the rest like 5% quits within like next 3, 4, 5 years. So like that statistics show you that like a lot of traders going to lose at one point, but what actually matters is, are you going to step up from that loss and then like learn from it and get better? So on Instagram or many other sources, you can see really, really successful traders. And those traders once also have faced like huge losses, really, really bad, like 100K, maybe even losses, but they're like standing right there because they didn't give up when they lost. I think the most important trait for a trader is not giving up, but actually learning from your losses.
Right. So, like we mentioned before, it's it's not how many times you fall off the horse, it's how many times you brush yourself off and you get back on.
Right.
And that's going to get you moving forward. Now, Michael, let me ask you, what do you like most about TopStep?
I think the strict rules are like one of the best things about TopStep. I know like it's controversial because like strict rules make you like fail more often. And I was part of those people at first, but as I trade more and more in TopStep and like learn from failures, because honestly, like when I was first getting used to the TopStep requirements and rules, I failed multiple times. But from that, I learned to manage my risks properly and then like get better as a trader itself. So I think those strict rules might work against you at first, but later on, it's going to help you, benefit you to become a better trader.
How about the rules? You're speaking about rules. What one rule helped you the most?
I think the daily loss limit would help me the most because it's the most basic thing, but also it's the most efficient rule. Some people they think, for an example, 50K account, $1,000 daily loss limit is a bit too tight because it's only 2% of the account. But also at the same time, you don't know whether you're going to win tomorrow or the day after. And 2% seems small, but if the loss gets compounded, it's going to affect your account size really, really negatively. So I think not losing is the best strategy in the market. So
right. Well, yeah, of course. Well, it's a lot of traders ask the question, "Gosh, how much can I make today?" Which is the wrong question. The right question is, how much can I afford to lose today?
Right.
That's going to keep you in the game. That's going to keep you in the game. Now, Michael, besides trading and being successful and being young, good-looking guy, what you got? Any hobbies? Collection, sports, music?
I really love cars. So actually last night I went out for a drive in like 12, like past midnight with my friends. And, like being young, like it's all about like college life and like going out for a drive with friends. I think I love the most about that.
Yes, I remember that many, many moons ago. We called it cruising.
Yeah, it's cruising.
Just anywhere, just go anywhere.
Well, also it's in suburban Chicago, so no matter how far you go, it's all cornfields.
Well, yeah, once you get out of the city, I mean, the city is sort of like, and then once you get out of the country, yeah, right. it's come out to the burbs. We got some nice driving areas there.
Yes.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you very much here. But before you go, I want to lay on you the surprise question. The surprise question. All right, Michael, here it is. If you could time travel, when would you go and where?
Well, a lot of people would actually say, oh yeah, I would go to like 2010 and buy Bitcoin. But since that's a cliche, I wouldn't say that. But
you could. You could.
But actually, I have a younger brother and he doesn't like studying, of course, because he's young. He's like 14 and he just likes sports. Or like currently I'm just suggesting him, why don't you like learn to trade? Because trading is not all about money, but also it's something you can do for your rest of your life. But also that's what I regret about myself, because I started to trade when I was 19 or 18. So maybe I want to go to the past when I was even younger and then maybe even start trading, learning to trade with like even $100. And because like, even it's a small amount of money, it's going to help you. Like all those concepts, all you like study when you're young and when your brain's like still learning, it's going to help you a lot. So I want to go to past when I was younger, like elementary school or middle school, and then just tell myself, oh, you got to start learning to trade. So yes,
I thought maybe you'd be going back to kindergarten and teaching some of these kids how to trade. Michael, thank you very much for being with us here today. Now, just so everybody knows, Michael came straight from school, rushed here. But Michael, thank you very much for being with us here today. Hey, don't forget, like and subscribe, because I like you and I'd subscribe for you if you ask me. But anyway, Michael, any last words?
Always, whether you're a trader or not, just consider just trading. It's awesome. It's the best like job or hobby you can have, I think. And don't lose.
Don't lose. Don't lose, folks. Don't lose. It's part of the business.
Yes.
All right. I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused. Stay positive. Trade well. Take care. I'm Eddie Horn, and welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. Now, today we've got one of our newest funded traders, Caesar, who Caesar has a special story to go along with this interview. I want you to stick around and listen to what he's got to say because he's one of my special friends and special, I'm going to say, students of trading, and we'll explain that a little bit later. But hey, before we get into this, remember, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen, because taking notes can and will benefit you down the road. So let's bring in our newest funded trader. Caesar, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Eddie. Thank you for having me today.
You know what? Thank you very much for being here with us today. I've known Caesar for a bit, and we've worked together, and good things have sort of come out of this. And I'm really happy to have you with us here today. Caesar, tell us about yourself and what country you're from.
Well, I'm from Colombia. I was born in Colombia, and I live in Colombia at the moment. A little while after the pandemic started, I settled down in Colombia, and now I live in Colombia.
I'd like to know, and I'm sure that others would like to know, who or what got you interested in trading?
Well, I actually got interested in trading because when the pandemic hit a couple of years ago, I was finishing a project in Chile. So I had to stay in Chile for 6 months in quarantine by myself, doing nothing, basically. So I started to try to get alternative source of income. And then I came across information on the internet about trading, which back then was a top step for me. It was a different platform, which I used for 2 years.
You had prior experience?
Well, not experience, because I started trading without having the proper training and education. I was just lucky, and we'll talk about that later on. Getting lucky is not the way to go in this business.
Okay, now, what are you trading now and why?
Well, I'm trading S&P 500. I'm trading Euro-US dollar futures. I'm trading crude oil, and I'm trading natural gas. Why I'm trading those products? Euro-US dollar certainly is something that you're very familiar with, because that's a number that's always on your mind, because whenever you travel, you're thinking about the exchange rate. S&P 500 has always been like a challenge for me. I never liked stocks because I knew nothing about the stocks. So it was a risky business for me. But the S&P 500, I was curious about it because it's a popular instrument and there seem to be good opportunities once you get to know it. Natural gas and crude oil are products that I was curious about as well. And I happened to understand them very quickly. So I feel comfortable trading those products. I think that more than 4 instruments for me is like being too greedy, and I'm new to this business, and I think it's very risky.
Right. See, that's a smart thing. The thing is, and one thing that you said is I got comfortable. with the markets. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to sort of understand how they work, how they move, why they move. And, once you start to get in that comfort zone where you're watching, and like you said, one at a time, you get familiarized with the characteristics of the market. And that definitely helps.
But it's not the price action. It's not getting comfortable with the price action. But after going through a lot of resources and education and training and coaching, I got to understand the details of every instrument. It's not just a price action. I mean, it's not like saying it goes up on Monday and down on Tuesdays. But how it works, how the CME rules work, how the price limits work, how the contracts change from one month to another, and those details made me feel comfortable with the market beyond the price action. And that's I have to thank you, TopStep, for that.
I know a lot of us. There's a lot of tools out there we all use. Everybody, we're looking at the same charts, but using different instruments. Indicators. Do you use indicators?
I try to use as few as I can. Would that make sense? So in my charts, I use the slow stochastic indicator with a particular configuration that I learned from someone that's been in the business for 50 years. So slow indicators, some moving averages, Bollinger Bands, 100-day moving average, 200-day moving average. And an indicator that I like very much is not that popular, and it's called super trend. Now, beyond that, I learned I'm still learning, to interpret volume profiles,
Order filled.
which I find fascinating. So in the coaching with TopStep, I am learning to work with volume profiles. So in summary, I use volume profiles, I use Bollinger Bands, a slow stochastic indicator, and 3 or 4 moving averages, and that's it. I try not to go beyond that because you get confused.
Right. A little too much. Keep it simple and use what you can. And sometimes we've got to sort of filter out or fine tune some of the indicators that we're using. And it's always good to see that you're moving forward when you're using the right tools. Cesar, you've seen success. And what words of wisdom would you share with a new trader?
Well, first of all, I think, and I went through that as well, but aspiring traders always focus on making money. And profit is a consequence, it's not the target. So if you enter a TopStep, for example, the new TopStep, and you think that hitting a $3,000 profit target in step 1, either step 1 or step 2, then you are good, you're totally wrong. That's something you get there once you comply with the rules and once you understand that getting there is a consequence. So forget the profit target, forget profit, care about losses.
That's right. You look for the wins, no matter how big, how small they are. This is something where you're not watching the monetary numbers because then that sort of skews your view. It sort of promotes revenge trading. Emotions kick in when you start seeing that dollar amount. So that's a good point. Very good point. Now, Cesar, let me ask you, has TopStep made you a better trader?
Totally. Without a doubt, TopStep changed my mindset, created good habits. Those rules that seem to be very tough for many aspiring traders are there for a reason. It certainly did change my mind. I learned a lot about how you should manage risk. The tools that TopStep has, as far as training and education and feedback and coaching, definitely make you a better trader. Make you a trader. I wouldn't say a better trader because I'm new to this, but it's making me a trader.
It's good. It's everybody has that goal and everybody wants to be at that point, but you've got to understand it takes a lot of work. And it just doesn't come overnight. It's trial and error. And, that's where we see success. If we didn't fail, we wouldn't be any better. So failure is part of being successful. Now, Cesar, everyone's looking to continue to grow. What are you hoping to continue to work on most right now?
Curiously enough, I reached the profit target in step 1 and step 2 of the trading combined, trying to, not looking at the winning trades, but trying to minimize the losing trades. So suddenly I found that the market started to move in my direction, which I attribute to my learning experience in TopStep. So instead of trying to get to $100 or $200 profit, I was trying to not have losing trades, like taking care of not losing more than $200. And suddenly I found myself making $400.
Right.
So the conclusion is that I was moving in the right direction. The market moved in my favor. It meant that I was learning how to identify where the market was going. Focusing on not losing money, and not losing money ended up being a winning trade for me.
Right. Now, it's wise to, keep doing what you're doing, and easy step by step to find out that I am progressing forward. I am feeling better about my trades.
Order filled.
And sometimes we're at a point where we need some help, or we need to talk to somebody, or we need to ask questions. Now, I mentioned earlier about Cesar being my guy. You're my special guy, and we hit up on some coaching sessions. Cesar, tell us about your coaching sessions.
There was a point in time where I don't know. It's worth to mention that I went through 2 resets in step 1 and 2 resets in step 2. So after the second reset, I started losing confidence, and I got to a point where I was $20 away from violating a rule. So I just stopped, which was the first lesson I learned in TopStep. Stop, take a walk, have a coffee, call your girl, do something different. And then I started scrolling through the website in TopStep, and I got to this coaching sessions option. And then I signed up for that coaching, and you were assigned as my coach. Actually, during the first session that I had with you, I started going back on my, and from being $20 for violating a rule, I ended up finishing step 2, in less than a week. And we weren't talking about trading. You were talking to me about overcoming fear, overcoming emotions, having confidence, how to stop trading if you needed to. That was it. I mean, I would score the coaching sessions as 100% useful for me.
You know, I mean, it helps you. You've seen success, and to be honest with you, it's sort of like the pay forward, because there was somebody that pulled me aside and told me, this is something that you should use, or this is something you need to try, or and help me get through my bad times and my struggles. And like I said, to pay forward, and it makes me feel really good. And I know that the other coaches here we've got at TopStep have helped many traders. And that's what's so special about it. And we talk about it, and it makes us feel really good when somebody can say, hey, you know what, I've succeeded, I've got to where I want to be, and you helped. But remember, Cesar, this is all about you. You're the one pushing the buttons, pulling the strings, making the decisions. You're the boss, but it was great to be alongside of you and helping you. It was a great time. I appreciate you saying that.
We're always afraid of showing our weaknesses. And then we try to show that we can do it. We strive to do something good so someone else can say, hey, this guy's good. But we have weaknesses, and we are afraid of showing our weaknesses. And talking to a friend like you, because I consider you a friend already.
Of course.
Allows you to be vulnerable and to show that you are weakened at some point in time.
Right.
And then you have the right information to start your coaching sessions. I can't give help to someone who doesn't need help, but this guy needs help, so I'm the right guy to help.
Hey, and the thing is too, Cesar, I think I mentioned to you when we first started is, I want to approach this as being a friend and a coach and a mentor. And I'm going to, try to help you along as best as we can as coaches here at TopStep. As a friend, as a coach, as a mentor. And it's really nice to see that you've got yourself funded. You've had 2 payouts already. Is that correct?
I have 2 payouts already.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
First one last week, the second one this week. And my goal now is to take it easy, slow down. I know that the whole process from starting to getting paid works very well.
Right.
I've been successful, as you said, and that's very dangerous because you get too comfortable. And sometimes you just need to stop. I mean, I haven't had a losing trade in 12 days, except for today.
Knock on wood.
And that's very, very dangerous.
Right. Well, Cesar, I really appreciate you being here with us. Before you go, I usually have a fun question for my guests, and just a quick answer here. Good news, Cesar. You just inherited $1 million, tax-free, okay, right, from a long-lost uncle that you really weren't familiar with. But the question is, how would you spend this $1 million?
I do either invest in something that provides a source of income. I will invest a little bit, but everything starts with the word diversify. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
Right. Exactly.
I spend a little bit of money on doing what I love. I love motorcycles. I love skydiving. I love
really
diving. Yeah.
So you're jumping out of planes?
Yes, sir.
Daredevil, trader. Oh my goodness.
And but part of it is going to go to my daughter's college education, which I have already paid for. But if she says Harvard, everything I've done for the last 16 years is worth nothing.
Fantastic.
Part of it is going to go to investments, whatever the investment in, call it real estate, call it financial instruments, and part of it is going to go to a personal investment, which is do things that make me happy. So once I'm happy, I make the right decisions with the remaining one.
Right. And you know what? I tell you, we all want to be happy. And I'm very happy to actually meet you face to face. And I'm very happy that you were here to share your journey with TopStep. And we wish you all the success in the future. Now, for those watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more of these Funded Trader interviews because we've got here at TopStep a lot of funded traders. But my guy, Cesar, once again, thank you very much. And for those out there, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, and trade well. Take care. We'll see you later. Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Kyle with us. But before we get to Kyle, just a reminder, make sure your pencils are sharpened. There is ink in your pen because taking notes will help you down the road. So let's get going here. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Eddie? Great to finally connect with you.
Very nice to meet you finally. And well, we've got a lot of questions for you. So let's start it out. Tell us about yourself, Kyle.
Well, I am from San Diego, California, currently residing in Dallas, Texas. I made the move a few years ago to be a little bit closer to Eastern time zone. I currently am heavily involved with financial markets. I trade options professionally on my own. So that is what I spend most of my time doing.
All right, now let's move the clock back a little bit.
Okay.
What or who got you interested in trading?
Well, I have been, interested in financial markets for I want to say as long as I can remember, probably from very, very young teenage years. My father was always interested in markets. He always had, some commentary on markets, things like that. He was not directly involved with finance, but I would say definitely, like, looking back on it, he is probably the one that kind of planted the seed, if you will, to get interested in financial markets. And then from there, I had some friends when I was in school that were messing with stocks, talking about investments, and that is kind of what initially piqued my interest to look into it more. And I've been involved ever since then.
It sucked you in. It's like just like the rest of us. Yes.
Exactly.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
There's no turning back now.
There is no turning back. How about education, training? Did your dad help you with that?
No, he didn't. My dad was not a trader or anything like that. I am primarily self-taught. My tuition to the market was quite expensive, tens of thousands of dollars before I eventually turned profitable. And that is actually one of the amazing things about TopStep, in my opinion, is you can develop your strategy without any actual money on the line. So this platform in that regard is massively advantageous. But as far as any training or any type of formal trading education that I had, no, it was all trial and error. Let me see how this is working. Can I get some profits here? What's that looking like? And so it's just, throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, for lack of a better term.
Right. You hit it with trial and error.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still learning stuff. I've been doing this since 1985, for some of you. But I learn something new every day, which is really cool.
Well, we're always learning, right? As traders. I mean, it's always going. So
right. Keep that brain open, be a sponge, absorb as much information as you can.
Right. Yep.
Now, you said you're trading options and so forth. How about futures? What are you trading now?
Yes. I primarily focus on ES. I do a lot of SPY and SPX analysis. And so what made the most sense to me, like as far as burden to entry and just kind of reducing the amount of, new learning curve that I had to get through, it made sense to go with ES. In that regard, I really like the liquidity, and these days the volatility is amazing. So I put all my focus there.
Now, you mentioned learning curve. When did you hit sort of a wall or a speed bump knowing, well, this isn't correct, I have to change it here?
With futures, that came pretty early. Definitely some of the rules that TopStep has made it a little more challenging for me, simply because, I was not used to such tight risk parameters. And so, when you start to basically, when I continually am taking stops or something like that, that to me is a cue that, okay, what I'm doing is not working. I need to go ahead and look at what it is, my approach in the market, and then go ahead and make whatever changes are appropriate here.
Okay, and once again, you sort of circle back to trial and error. Does this work?
Right.
Does this work?
Right, yeah.
No, let's take a couple steps back, reevaluate. Let's try it again.
Exactly.
So you're being smart about it. Cool. How long have you been with TopStep?
I believe I have been with TopStep 6 or 7 months now.
Okay, all right. And how many combines have you gone through?
So the stage 1 took me 2 or 3 tries. I was continually retrying that, basically because I just mentioned that I had to adjust my risk parameters, and so that was part of the trial and error with futures for me. And so I hit that max loss pretty quickly a few times, tried a couple of resets, eventually got around to passing that, and then the second stage took me another 2 tries, and I finally got the certificate, got the funding, everything like that. So it was a few months of working through the combines. Definitely is not like a one and go. You need to probably be giving this more time than you are expecting if you're brand new to trading, and just sticking with it. Absolutely.
You got it. How about indicators? Do you use indicators?
So I focus primarily on price and volume. I'm a big, just purely price and volume type of guy. So with that is going to come, candlestick charts, obviously, like default settings. And then with that, I also really like VWAP. VWAP is just a mathematical calculation of price and volume. Beyond that, I don't like relying heavily on indicators. I find them to be lagging. It tends to cloud my judgment as far as what is happening with price structure. And so I focus, again, primarily on what type of price structure can I find here to set risk against? And then do I have volume confirmation? That's pretty much the basis of what I do.
Okay. Appreciate that and sharing that with us.
How
about your strengths?
So definitely my strengths are going to be in high probability trades. I have found that I have good tendency to find trades that are highly probable and working. My hit rate from what I've tracked is about 70%. And so this is definitely, from other traders I've talked to, is on the high side. But with that, as far as to balance that out, is my weakness is I have a hard time really pushing the gas when my edge is present. And so, I tend to work with kind of a mental system known as daily goal. And so when I hit this certain threshold of profits, it's hard for me to continue to push the gas after that, even if I have edge present in the market.
Okay. Appreciate that. Now we've got a lot of experienced traders, a lot of new traders, a lot of in-between traders. Words of wisdom from you. What would you share with a new trader asking you about this trading?
Definitely don't give up. Trading, what I have found just in my own journey and then in talking with other traders is like the market tends to attract people that want to get rich quick. They see someone online posting huge profits and, they're like, okay, this looks easy. Barrier to entry to the market is fairly low, so anyone could get involved. But this is just not the reality of trading, as I'm sure you know, Eddie. And so, you don't want to come in guns blazing. You want to take it slow and give yourself enough time. Do not be putting, all of your risk on the line early on in your trading career. And then beyond that is really documenting and reviewing your trades. For me, most of my growth has come from after the market is closed, going and looking at my execution, seeing what is working in the current market environment, fine tuning from there and saying, okay, this is what's working. I need to do more of this. Here are the trade entries that are not really serving me. Let me try and focus on not utilizing this strategy or not utilizing this approach. And then just really, putting more effort and more mental capital to what is actually serving you.
Yeah. Slow and steady.
Right.
Now, as Top Step, while you're in the program, has it made you a better trader?
I'd say absolutely. Any time in the market is going to be, as long as it is productive and you're not there with like a gambling mentality, it's absolutely going to be, it's going to help you improve. One big thing that Top Step really forced me to do, and this is why I was really appreciative of the program, is the risk parameters that you guys have essentially forced me to dial in my entry. You have to be more precise with your entry, especially if you want to, not be hitting that daily loss or that weekly loss. That was one of my challenges early on in kind of figuring this out, is like, okay, I need to focus on making sure my risk is tight. And the best way to do that is to improve my entry. And so absolutely, Top Step has definitely helped me with ES and improving my entry.
Now, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently when you first started out?
Well, I would probably, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, is I would take my own advice and definitely take things more slowly. Like I came into Top Step just kind of
order filled,
and so I was going with my exact strategies that I utilize with the options and things like that in the futures market. There is a strong correlation there because the underlying is the same, but as far as approach, it does need to be a little bit differently. So I would slow down, focus on probably just one contract at a time, and looking for that best possible entry, keeping risk extremely tight.
Now, we've been talking about the Top Step rules.
Order filled.
What rule would you say helped you the most?
Daily loss limit, for sure. Absolutely.
Break it down.
Just basically, one thing that I've always struggled with as a trader, and I see it in other traders as well, is you can go on tilt very easily. And so let's say that you're down 500. Daily loss limit on the 50K account was 1,000. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm down 500. I really don't have that much more room to be getting back into green. Maybe I should just stop right here before I get down into like negative 900 on the day. And now I'm way too close to that threshold. And so having that always in the back of my head that, okay, the daily loss limit is going to disqualify me, or I may have to do a reset or something like that, is absolutely, like, it just forces you to shut it down, walk away, come back tomorrow, fresh minded, things like that. And so that's absolutely like the number one rule, in my opinion.
A lot of traders reach that point, but shutting it down is so hard to do.
It is.
What has helped you commit to that?
Basically just understanding that, I'm at this point in my trading day, I'm probably not thinking clearly, meaning, I'm in a kind of more of like what I would call a make it back mentality. Like I'm just swinging for the fences. I may not even be trading my best strategy. There's been times where, I've been at the desk, I'll try and trade right through lunch, things like that. That has never served me at all. And so it's kind of, it takes a lot of introspection and self-awareness and things like that. But eventually at the end of the day,
order filled.
You have to do this. Like you have to, whatever it takes for you to walk away from the desk, it has to be done. If you, like, in my opinion, if you want to be successful in markets, that's just a requirement. And absolutely it's hard, especially early on in your career, but hey, it takes what it takes.
Order filled.
Right. Yeah. It's a personal loss limit.
Right,
you got to commit to it.
Exactly.
And when you get to that point, it's not an option or a choice.
Right.
It's an action.
Right. Yes.
I'm done.
Well said. Yes. Love that.
But it's about the process, the complete process. Now, Kyle, I want to thank you for coming up here and doing the interview. You had some really fantastic answers, and I really hope that a lot of our traders watching and listening will take advantage of that and use that to make them better. And give it a try, test it, see what works. But we really appreciate that. But before you go, we got our fun question. And if you can have one night out with one person, past or present, who would you have it with?
Wow. Well, it would probably, I'm just going to say the first person that popped in my head, and my dad has passed 5 years ago. And so if I could have one more night with him, that would just mean the world to me. I would give anything for that. So it would absolutely be my father.
I love that answer. I'm in the same boat with you. That would be great. One night, just one time.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing better than family, right? So
you got it. Great answer. All right. But any closing comments before we go?
No, that's it, Eddie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn, and stay focused, stay positive, trade well, and take care. We'll see you. Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got one of our newest funded traders, Nindy. Nindy's going to be with us, and she's going to tell us about her journey from the trading combine to the funded account. But first, remember, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen, because taking notes can benefit you in the long run. Without further ado, our newest funded trader, Nindy. Nindy, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Eddie. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for asking. Tell us where you're from. And I do believe you're up north.
I'm actually from Toronto, Canada. I was born and raised in India, but I'm here in Canada 40 years now. So literally, I'm Canadian.
So you are Canadian. So tell us about yourself a little bit. You're from India. You're Canadian right now, living in Canada. What else?
Almost 40 years I'm here. I love trading. Other than that, I really don't do anything. That is my passion. Okay. So, trading is my life.
Passion. That's good though.
Yes.
Now, about this passion, who or what got you interested in trading?
A few years back, like I would say about 20 years back, me and my brother went to a seminar in Toronto, and I like the idea of working from home, sitting in front of your computer, and living life that people are actually living now. Like working from home is now a thing, but back then it was really, really new and something that I like the idea of working from home at that time. So that's intrigued me a bit too. I thought, let's do it. Let's try it. So me and my brother started to attend seminars, webinars, self-study, and things like that.
Okay, so
my brother and me got intrigued by that seminar that we attended.
Well, that's good. It's, you reached out, you tried to get as much education as you could,
yes.
The webinars and so forth. Well, that's good. That's good. Now, what are you trading right now?
Currently, I'm trading crude oil, and the reason for that is that I like volatility. I like just rush. I don't want because I had no patience before. I have developed
order filled,
but because I want to see big volume, big money, and that's it. I just don't want to sit there all day, 8 hours waiting for the market to move slowly and then me taking an action. So the reason for that is again volatility, and I like to focus on one currency or whatever I'm trading. This is not currency for sure. Crude oil is my favorite one right now. That is, I'm really one with it, and that's why I choose to trade currently.
I like how you said that. I'm one with it. Yes,
because you have to be one with it. Yeah. Otherwise,
it's good though. That's good because it's working for you, and it's being friendly. Right, yes. Exactly. So you want to stay on that. You want to keep trading it. Good for you. Now, is your brother still trading? Are you talking to your brother back and forth, or is he your trading buddy?
He's really not my buddy because I'm a solo trader. I like to make my own decisions. We study together. I mean, we put together all these strategies and indicators and whatnot. But when it comes to actual trading and making decisions, taking trades in and out, I like to be just me and the market. I don't want nobody else.
How long have you been with us here at TopStep?
TopStep trader, I would say in and out 4 or 5 years, but I was never serious, in the beginning because I was trading my own account for the longest time. At one point, I was actually coaching and also putting my videos on YouTube, live videos.
Order filled.
2011 to I think 17. I had over 200 videos that I posted in the past. And
wow.
That's when I really got people involved, asking questions. That was actually a fun time. And then I stopped. I was kind of exhausted. And then I started my own account. And before coming to TopStep, when I learned about TopStep, I was actually gone back to trading again because I thought, oh, this is a good idea. You don't have to use your own money. And it was a different concept for me. I like the style and I like the, how to have roles, this and that. It actually helps people to become better traders, So that's when I decided to go with you guys.
Right. And, some of the rules, they are tough, but if you can adopt them and use them, even outside of TopStep,
yes.
It's going to keep you in the game much longer. It's you're not going to get reckless and so forth. But it's good. I'm glad that you like those and you've adopted those.
Yeah, and very helpful. Very helpful.
Now, what tools and indicators are you using right now?
I am using Mrkts. That's my favorite one. And also Fibonacci extensions and retracements. And that's it, nothing else. I think the lesser is better because the kind of money we as traders want to make in the market, it's like a big ocean, you just need a little speck of it. So in order for me to make that much, I don't need to study a lot of indicators and other things. Support and resistance is also used. So that's good enough.
We are the little fish. It is a big ocean, and that's all we need. It's a little bit here and a little there, and these small profits add up. So you are definitely spot on.
Yes, and that's all you need. And if you're content after that, you're good. You need not to run after it all day. You don't have to be always chasing the market.
Right.
You don't have to do that. There's no need.
Now let me ask you about what gets you through, and what hinders your progress. Let's talk about your strength. What's your best strength in trading?
My strength in trading is I'm a very, very patient right now because that was my biggest weakness in the beginning because, and I wanted to make always I want to have at least 100 pips, kind of challenge to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually putting me back so much because I was fighting with myself, say in my brain, I thought, okay, today I need to make at least 100 ticks. 100 ticks is $1,000. It's a lot, right? For some people, with one contract. So it was never happening. So it was really my weakness, but I turned into the same thing into strength currently. So this is my strongest strength, that I am now very, very patient. I stay with it. I just take my time to get the best trade possible, so that I can get out of it before I, get to go back to my bad habit of having at least 100 X.
Right.
So
Patience, discipline, management.
Yes.
Yes. You have to have those. You have to have those. Now, we got a lot of new traders out there listening. We've got a lot of experienced traders listening. What words of wisdom would you share with a new trader? Something, just a short one sentence.
I believe that trading is an art, and to make a best portrait or best picture, you really have to be patient. So if you are making any mistakes, accept them. Do not do that mistake again, and be humble with the market. Be one with it, and you will get it one day. It's not hard. And again, 80% of your brain is actually trading. 20% is clicking the mouse. Anyone can click the mouse. But if your mind is set, if you're psychologically, if you are improving and being with the market, that's when you are successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I advise
order filled
experience, and I would say the same thing to my fellow traders.
Exactly. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long process, and if you can't accept that, then you're never going to see success. Now, what has TopStep done for you? Has it made you a better trader?
Definitely. As TopStep have made me a solid trader. I'm so grateful. I'm using all the things that I've learned from TopStep, especially the loss limits, daily loss limits that helped me the most. When you're trading your own account, you're your own boss, and no one's watching you, and even if you make a mistake a big time, you think that, I'm going to make it back because it's in my control, but it's a very bad idea. But this is what I learned from TopStep, that, if you're 1,000 taking 9,999, get out of it, or you won't see yourself next day, in there, unless you, start a new combine. So that's the most profitable thing for me to, that I've learned from TopStep. And I thank you for that.
Fantastic. All right. Now it's time for the surprise question.
I hope I can answer.
All right. I think you can. All right. Let's turn back the clock. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be my own boss, and that I am right now.
Wow. It's a good answer. My own boss.
Yes.
Even as a child. See, I was like fireman, astronaut, cowboy.
And you know what? I get along with guys, like even in the family. I'm more close with my father, with my guys like my brother, uncles, and aunties, and mummies and things. I'm not really with them. So I'm kind of tomboy.
Tomboy. Okay.
Tomboy, yes.
Well, Nindi, I appreciate your time with us. I appreciate your answering your questions and sharing, a lot of information, with those that are watching and listening and hopefully taking notes. But, Nindi, all the best in your future trading here. And, let's keep in touch. I want to hear about your progress. So any last words before we say goodbye?
Again, whoever's trading, I'm sure they will get something out of this conversation that we had, and I hope it helps. And I wish all the fellow traders to do the best and just be with the market as I am. And, I'm sure they will succeed. And we will see them online just like me. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on the line today.
Thank you, Nindi. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Keep the focus, stay positive, trade well, and take care. Welcome to TopStep Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Alexis in our Trading Combine program and the Funded program. And we're going to get to Alexis in just a minute. But remember, sharpen your pencils, make sure there's ink in your pen, because this interview is going to be a good one, something that you're going to want to take notes with. So let's get going here. Alexis, how are you today?
I'm great. Just got into the lab. Everyone is no one else is really here. I came in a little bit early to use our conference room, so I'm just kind of sitting, and then after this, get into my day.
Fantastic. Alexis, if you can, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the meaty questions.
So I'm a PhD student in neuroscience. I, hopefully I'm getting to the end of that. Other than that, recently got married, finally went on a little honeymoon, so expensive, but,
Life is good. Life is good. Way to go. Now we're talking about trading here, of course, and being in our program. Before being in our program, what got you interested in trading? Was there any certain person, or was it just your interest?
Quite a while back, I ended up, like years ago, probably when I was an undergrad and things like that, I ended up signing up for a brokerage account and like dabbling a little bit. And that didn't go well. And I put it away for like a long time. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, my wife actually started kind of talking about like, they're saying, I see people are saying like, this is potentially a time, I guess, everyone's
order filled.
But it was funny that, I hadn't even thought about it until she mentioned that it was coming up. And I was like, well, you know what, we'll give this a shot. And, started moving into kind of expanding like what is actually out there. Then everyone was on penny stocks, started looking into that, kind of moved back into, after a while, like stocks, large cap stocks and options. And then I started gravitating more toward like, I guess, mainly trading SPY and QQQ options.
Okay.
As I was learning about how all of this sort of factored in, how like macroeconomic conditions and things factored in, or like how to, I was just watching these charts basically all day. And then in a Discord that I was in, I got into one where people were like primarily also trading SPY options and futures. And someone, mentioned TopStep. And then I was like, well, I'm staring at a SPY chart all day. Why not like give this a shot? It's gotten more technical. I don't think I've necessarily gotten any better, but everything that I pick up along the way is like making some sort of foundation. So,
that's key. That's just what you're saying is, as you're progressing, you're building that foundation. And that's what we need to do. That's the first thing you need to do, especially in this business, is have a foundation and something that you can build off of. And you're going to find it's much smoother once you have that established.
Right. One thing that I've noticed, sorry to interrupt, but is, a lot of people think that as you learn things, that's like this linear process, or it kind of does this or something like that. But in a lot of things that I've covered, it's, it's just a series of plateaus. Like, so I played chess for a long time. I don't anymore. But I noticed I would study really hard and I would get like a little bit better and then plateau and then maybe even go down a bit. And I would quit for a little bit. And it was like the brain and the bad habits you formed during that time period had time to kind of fade away and the information got integrated. I would come back to it like 5 months later and my rating would like shoot up and it would just kind of repeat that process. So I think, in terms of that foundation and having potentially rest periods in between, it gives you time to actually integrate that information better.
Yeah, you definitely need separation, re-energize. And I know it's not healthy to sit in front of a computer 24/7, 365. That's for sure. So you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Now, what are you trading now?
Right now, I pretty much exclusively trade ES and MES, and then also just options on SPY and QQQ. So it's mainly stuck to that.
Okay. Now, as far as TopStep goes, you've been with us here. I'd like to know, how long have you been with us?
Probably maybe what month this is. So probably 6 months, 5 months.
Okay. All right. So you're progressing pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good considering, where you're starting and how you're progressing. How about combines? Do you remember how many combines that you have taken?
I think I'm currently on my 4th one. The first one was me just blowing up every 10 seconds. It felt like I said, I moved from options and futures, the sort of linear P&L, and having to have that very precise entry and exit was very different. It's not like you can hope that something will come back up.
It's the saying, trade for tomorrow. We always want to make sure that we're coming back the next day and not having to dig out of a huge hole. Of course, we're going to have bad days. It's part of the business. We have to accept losing. And that's something that we need to remember. As far as what you're using, what you're trading with, tools, indicators, share with us what you use.
I typically have just a volume profile, cumulative delta, volume, like, temporal volume, and then standard deviations. And then beyond that, I'll typically, as the week progresses, I'll mark each day's daily high and low, and then those will sort of accumulate across the week and potentially the overnight high and low for the previous night, not every night, but for the night before the day I'm trading.
As long as they're working for you, I know that some traders I talk to, they use so many and it can get confusing. But once you sort of dial into what works for you, keep it, use it, improve on it. And that's one of the good things, that you have a lot of options for that. So cool. Now let's move on to something that we wanted to hit base on, was about your strengths and weaknesses. Now, before we get to that question, I just want to say that Alexis went through the combine, got funded, and in the funded account, it did not work out right. And he is back in the trading combine. Now, first off, I just want to say props to Alexis for saying, hey, you know what? I want to come on here and talk about it. It's not only going to help me, but it should help others. And, that's what it's all about here, here at TopStep. We want to make sure that, those that do stumble or that do fall off the horse get back on as soon as they can. Because, Alexis, you made it to the promised land. You know how to trade, all right? You got there. And that's what I 100% respect for you coming on and talking about this. But let's talk about some of your strengths before we get to those weaknesses. What are you most proud of about trading in your strengths?
I think one of the biggest things is just that when I do find that something doesn't work, or that longer term, short term, I'm going to have to go and tilt or something like that. But longer term, when I start noticing things like what I was doing isn't working, or when conditions aren't working the same, or like I'm noticing this is a different sort of regime from what we've had the past few weeks or something like that. I'll go sort of seeking out that information, also looking into books, trying to understand like I said, I'm a grad student right now. I'm used to if something doesn't work, you experiment and you find what is going to, give me some insight into this problem so that I can do it again, or so that I won't do it again. If it's a mistake that you've been making, I have no fear of seeking out more, like I said, more rigorous texts, things like that, to try to get an understanding of the actual foundations of both the market and say the mathematics of what is potentially happening. Now, whether that actually, like we said, funnels directly into trading immediately or somewhere else, maybe a different story. But I have no fear of tackling, more difficult or esoteric issues with my trading and with the markets.
Yeah, recognition, when you see something that's not working. Sometimes it's just a simple fine tune, or, just to get you back to where you want to be. And, that's a bonus that you have there, is recognizing what needs to be done. A lot of people, a lot of traders, they go past that point. a little too far past that point. You don't realize it. So that's good on that point. Now, how about the weakness? What's your weakness?
I think it is still more than anything just, ending up essentially loss aversion and going on tilt after a back trade. That is something that, it seems like everyone has, but it's the biggest thing to break because, we get so used to immediate feedback. Everything is so fast paced and moving so quickly that it just, you want that immediate pick me up and you don't wait for, the proper conditions. And as much as I want to think of myself as like in other aspects of my life as being somewhat stoic or like waiting and calculating, here, when the screen is in front of you and the bars continue moving, it's so easy to just get back in.
Yeah, it's the FOMO, the fear of missing out. What am I going to miss? What am I going to miss? And it can be very, very stressful. And I tell traders too, not trading is a position, and it is. It is. You want to preserve capital, and you want to wait for that right opportunity, that perfect opportunity. So just throwing something against the wall hoping it sticks, that's not trading. That's not trading though. I appreciate that, Alexis. Now being with TopStep here. We're very proud to have you here. Once again, 100% respect for coming on, doing the interview. Has TopStep made you a better trader?
I think so, definitely. I'm on the Discord. I get to see all these sort of different perspectives. I watch the videos, sometimes I'll seek out specific types of videos. I may not know, sometimes a term or what something's called, and that leads me to do my own research outside of TopStep and things like that. You're exposed to a lot of different perspectives, but you also have to operate within, like you said, this safety net or these constraints. And, changes things significantly. We have to constantly think of this, after I lost my funded account, I started thinking, okay, this is not going to be, you're going to get the funded account and that day is going to be a trend day and you'll hit it right at the bottom and you'll ride it up and then, boom, off to a great start. It's going to be like, you need to think about this as, okay, maybe you have like the 50K account or the 150K account or something like that, but you need to just focus on what would be reasonable, trying to make on average 100 a day, then thinking about like, what would that be long-term, right? That seems significantly easier than, sometimes like what I feel like a lot of us initially try to do, which is I got to get through step 1 in 5 days and I got to get through step 2 in 3 days. And so you're pushing for kind of these big things, these big, gains, and that leads to trouble. It's forcing me to kind of reorganize like expectations and how do I fit this in with obviously my own time, because I'm not trading full time. I'm typically take a look at a few things during the overnight and then open and then check in throughout the day.
Right.
So what can I reasonably expect? And how can I do that through or within the constraints of the program? And those things together, even though I haven't quite hit on making it work psychologically yet, I know that is something that I need to get to and something that TopStep is essentially encouraging if you try to, work within those constraints.
Yes. Now I get a lot of traders, I talk to, and the question that they ask themselves is how much money can I make today? That's not really the best question to ask. I think the best question to ask is how much money can I afford to lose today? That's going to keep you in the game much, much longer. So hopefully that helps. Now, how about the number one rule here at TopStep that helped you the most?
I think even though I, pushed a lot, it's not one of like the fully stated rules, but the 200 contract limit, which is like sort of in the fine print, made me start thinking a lot more about, for a while, like I was over trading a lot and started essentially thinking about like, okay, you've been just under the 200 contract limit all these times because you keep like going in and moving and you're finishing like break even, for the day. So what are you even doing? Right. So that has been like essentially forced me to think about, how do I curve over trading? And then I noticed that when I did pass the second, when I passed my combine, finally, I looked at my days and I might have like 10 trades, and I might have like 20 contracts or something like that. And those were, I just had this string where it was consistent. And I know that, I was waiting around, I was trying to find the right trade. I was, looking into it. And then I would get out of it quickly if it was going against me. And it was like on form. I looked at since then, after I lost it, the days that I lost it and those sort of FOMO days afterwards, where it was like, you got to get this back, get the funded back now. I was back up to the, over trading because I'd gotten back into that mindset of I need this now. But that rule and thinking about that rule and observing myself, like not feeling like I was trading that much and yet coming out with like 200 contracts at the end of the day made me go, well, what if you just tried to limit it to 5 trades? And I couldn't limit it to 5. Of course, I still went over, but it was like 10 or 12. So trying to get back to that point.
It's digging the hole too deep and then coming back the next day and saying, oh my God, I got to make this up. And a lot of us try to make it up that day, which is, that's a pretty high mountain to climb. And smarter traders will break it up, but they say, don't worry about what you did yesterday. To be honest with you, that is so darn hard to do. It's in the back of your mind. It's like, I can't forget about that, but you have to. You have to take it one trade at a time, trade by trade, and these small profits add up. And like you said, you didn't like something, you cut your losses. That's the way to play the downside. You got to cut your losses. You can't put the hopium in your pipe. You can't cross your fingers. You can't pray to the almighty trading god. It's got to be something that you react to. So, but Alexis, I really appreciate you being here with us today. It was a great interview, and I really hope that that we see you back again. You know what? Let's get you funded again and bring you back here. We'll have some new questions, and we'll go that route. And hopefully, those that have been listening and watching have learned something and learned something positive here about moving forward in the world of trading. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Alexis, once again, props to you. 100% respect. Any last words, my friend?
Nope, don't think so. Time to get to work. So
time to make the donuts. Okay. All right. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, take care. Welcome to Top Step Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got France. Well, no, not the country, but the successful trader, France. And we're going to bring him on here in just a second, but don't forget, have your pencil sharpened, ink in your pen, because taking notes does and will help you down the road. Well, without further ado, our good friend, France. France, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Eddie.
Very nice to have you here, and thank you for stepping up to the plate and doing an interview. And right before we started this interview, I'm like, I'm going to take a look and see what France is doing here in the funded account, and doing very, very well. Starting off, and well, let's get this going here. France, tell us about yourself and what country are you from?
Sure. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, of course. And basically, I've been with TopStep for a little over 4 years. I've done everything from the 30K account, 50K account, and I recently passed through everything with the 150K account. When I first started 4 years ago, I didn't know what I was doing, so I wanted to take my tuition, I guess you call it, as cheap as possible. So I started with the 30K account, and also personal finance-wise, it was better with the 30K account as well.
Okay. All right. Now, what led you to this mysterious pursuit of a career in trading?
Actually, my father was equity trader, retail side. He did it for 10 years, but we never really talked about how he trades during those 10 years. But for myself, in 2014 and 2018, I was looking at gold and silver as a precious metal. And after that, in 2019, I started TopStep, and trading was something we were doing already back in university when I was studying finance major. So it was just a natural progression that I wanted to do trading, and trading changes people on a positive way as long as you don't go too crazy, right?
Recklessness, I tell you, when money's involved, you got to be careful. You got to use your noodle, that's for sure. Yes. How about your preferred market to trade? What are you trading right now, and why?
I only trade gold, and I've been trading gold for the last 4 years. Once in a while, I might look at the NQ and the oil, but I never really trade them. Like when I would talk to other traders, they would talk about other market, and I was like, I'll just look at it for like a day if it's something I might want to dabble into, but I never did. It's always been gold. It's a market that I try to understand very, very strongly, where it has its own type of flow. You can put on a position for like 1 to 4 hours, if not longer, until it actually go up to the level that you think it will be. Or it could be after economic news, and then the market will whip up and down very quickly, and that is what gold does as well. So it gives you the option of both able to hold on a position for a long period of time with great patience, or you have very high volatility within the first 10 minutes after economic news.
A lot of our traders, NASDAQ, and trading crude, S&P, and Dow. But when I saw that you were trading gold, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna pick his brain on this one and see why he's trading gold. But like they say, gold is the money flow, so you're doing the right thing. How do you stay up to date on market trends and the news that we've got going on now?
Gold is very news driven and geopolitical driven. So whenever, let's say, Ukraine war, for example, happens, that the market went up very quickly just because gold has always been a safe haven kind of environment, along with treasury bills as well, of course. But with gold, it has its own different market, as we say, different life. So once Ukraine happens, it went up very quickly, and you just ride along with it as much as you can, and and that's how you pass some of the combines. And fast forward, as long as you know where the trend goes, that's what gold is. It's a trend rider. As long as you don't screw that up, you'll be fine.
Right. I mean, it's sad to say that drama in this world gives us traders opportunity, but that's our job. Our job is trading, and we have to do our job. Now, how about risk? How do you manage risk in your trades?
I usually go by I go by 4-to-1 ratio. I try to have $4 win to $1 loss as much as I can. So most of the time after commissions and also the one tick after when you try to get out, it will be about 3.5, 3.7 reward to risk ratio, and that's always a good number.
Okay, now here's one that everybody's going to listen to. How do you determine when to enter and when to exit a trade?
I always I look at previous day support level, so previous day high support level as an exit, and then when I enter is more like where was the resistance from the previous day. But also look at how is the market at that current moment. So when I first open the chart, it will be the daily, 30-minute, and 5-minute. Daily talk about what's going on overall, And 30 and 5 minutes is where I try to enter. 30 minutes is where I use mainly when I enter the trade and continue to look at what's the trend doing and etc. And the 5 minute is to confirm that my theory, I guess you call it, is still correct.
That's good. You're checking yourself. A lot of traders tend to jump in the pond before they see how deep it is, and it's always good to take your time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you miss that first trade, another one's going to be right behind it. Now,
if you want to do anything like that, just put on one contract and then see it, not put the whole load in there.
See if and the thing is too, if you don't want to use your trading combine, you got the practice account. I call it the sacrificial lamb. Throw it out there, see what happens, and if it coincides with your game plan, all right, switch back to the trading combine and fire it up. So, now you've been giving us a lot of wisdom here. What words of wisdom would you share with a new trader? Somebody coming to France and saying, "France, I'm looking to trade. Help me out."
For myself, is why you want to trade in the first place. Are you trading just solely for the money? You probably wouldn't last long. Like, again, I've been with TopStep for 4 years and done the 30K, 50K, and 150K account. And mainly the reason why I stick on is because the reason why I want to do this is provide money for my family as well. There's 3 things that I want to use the money for. There's 1, pay off debt, family debt, savings, if you want to buy a house, cars, whatever. And third, go on vacation with the people that you love. And that's what the whole point of trading is. If you want to be a millionaire, there's probably better ways of doing it.
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. You're up in Canada. I give you a hug for that one, man. It's family first, and a lot of us don't think that way, and I'm very proud that you put that out there. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Kid is almost 2 years old. He's a year and 9 months right now.
You got a child.
Yep. Family first, as you say, right?
Family first. What's his name?
Felix.
Felix. Oh, awesome. All right. Dad looking out for the family. How about qualities? What do you think the qualities are to make a good trader?
I guess there's 2 things. One is patience. That when you enter a trade, is it the right setup and etc. And the second thing is, I guess, lack of a better word, how stubborn you are. Right? There's 2 ways of stubborn. One is when the trend and the market is going your way, how long can you hold until you hit the profit target? And the second one is how stubborn you are of trying to go your way, and then you constantly lose money.
You walk into that virtual wall the hard way, and you'll learn. It'll teach you. Now, everybody here trading, they're looking to continue to grow. We all are. I still am. What are you hoping to continue to work on the most right now?
More on my personal life, making sure my physical health and mental health is good, and also, again, taking care of everyone beside me. That's more of a personal thing, because trading is very reflective based on your life. Like, when your personal finance aren't right, good luck trading. If you are fighting with your other half, good luck trading. If you drink the night before, good luck trading.
Good luck trading.
Yeah, it's all personal life. It reflects way back to your trading.
Right. Yeah. You go out in the night with the boys. On quarter beer night. You better make sure that you're going to be sleeping in late the next day. Yeah, that's a good one there. Everybody write that one down. All right. Well, you've been here with us for 4 years. 4 years at TopStep. Has TopStep made you a better trader?
TopStep is the best platform for me individually to learn and grow. So yes, it definitely made me a better trader, but also a better person. You got to understand that when you trade, you change your personality based on the market that you're trading. And the better you improve yourself, the better you improve trading. So TopStep has definitely given me a platform on both sides of the level.
Okay. Yeah, what do you like most about TopStep?
Well, it's very fair. If you don't do anything stupid with your trade, you'll be fine, right? Like, in the 4 years, I've done everything from adding to losers, putting on max positions, and hope for God that will go my way. Very, very rarely it will. So TopStep is very fair in terms of, if you do the right thing and you're patient enough, you'll get there.
Right. Do the right thing, be patient, you'll get there. See, we should do T-shirts, France Ho T-shirts. I think that those would sell pretty good. Well, France, I really appreciate you being with us here, but I got 2 more questions.
Sure.
You talked about your experience, talked about your dad, your family. How about you? Besides trading, do you got any hobbies, collections? You do music? What do you got?
No, I just spend all my free time with my family, my kid. Again, the first 5 years of the kid is the most important. So, and thank God that my job also is work from home. So it allowed me all the time in the world to be with the little guy while they're growing up.
That's good. And you know what? That's going to be a lifetime hobby for you. So good for you. All right. Now for the fun question. And I love having these to sort of break the monotony. All right. France, we finished the interview, and you step outside your home, your office, and you find a lottery ticket and end up winning $10 million. What do you do?
Well, first I pay down my debt.
Okay.
And then the second is, we should probably make a fund to maintain the cash flow that comes in. If you say you don't want to do work, if the goal is not to do work, you need to build a fund to maintain your standard of living every month. Or if you want to continue working, you put a certain portion into investment that continue to grow for either for your family or for the kid, doesn't matter. And the first thing is that, of course, we should go on vacation.
Of course. Now, are you going to stay with TopStep? Please do, because I love you, man.
Of course. Again, like TopStep has been everything for me, and therefore we'll continue doing it. That's all it is.
All right, cool. All right. Folks, don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. Hope you took some notes. France, any closing words here before we say goodbye?
Well, actually, Eddie, in October last year, I started posting my trades onto the TopStep community to show everyone how I trade, and also to show accountability of my trade. Because sometimes when you're trading alone at home, you can like, well, no one's here anyway. I'm just going to click whatever I want to do. But when you have a whole community, either accountability or also cheer you on, it's a nice thing to have. So yeah, anyone can go to my website as well.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah. So that's our Facebook, right?
Yeah, I post it on Facebook, and also that will go to my blog that just shows like what do I trade today, what do I think about it, my loss, win, whatever you can think of. Yeah, and that's everything.
Don't forget, we got a Discord channel too. A lot of good stuff going on in there too. So spread the information, spread it out. So, all right, France, once again, thank you very much. All the best to you and the family. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, take care.